Hello everyone, welcome to What If Naruto Was Hellhound in Hazbin Hotel Part 2. Before we start, please go support marioiale for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistake in character's gender, but of course Naruto is a male. Chapter 6, Goichia Castle. What do you mean you're going to be busy? Stella Goichia shouted from her room with her husband, loud enough to wake Octavia from her sleep. Oh great! Octavia thought as she grabbed the pillow and used it to cover her ears, which was in vain as Stella continued to yell at Stolas. Just another morning. Pushing the pillow against her head and turning over, Octavia soon gave up because she couldn't get back to sleep. Grabbing her headphones and putting on some music, with the volume as high as she could to drown out Stella's voice, Octavia stood up. While sleepily dressing, Octavia put on her hat and checked her social media. Her finger scrolled up and Stolas, meanwhile, was beginning to get irritated by his wife's morning screams. Fine? Stella screamed, her swan-like plumage flapping as she gasped for breath. You're not going to defend yourself, you bucking idiot! Okay, now! Stolas began, getting angry. What the buck? Both Stella and Stolas stopped their argument in its tracks as they ran towards Octavia's room. My little starlet! Stolas cried out worriedly as they burst into her room, seeing Octavia distraught as she looked at her phone. What's wrong? Blitz and Luna's apartment. Luna's eyes widened as a gunshot rang out. Damn it, damn rodent, stay still! Blitz yelled as a second shot was fired. Another rat, I guess. Luna thought as she stood up, wide awake at this when a third shot was fired. Getting out of bed and grabbing her phone, Luna got dressed. Luna chirped as she saw a specific post explode in popularity. Touching it, Luna looked at it in boredom before her ears drooped and her eyes widened. That son of a hitch! Luna shouted in jealous anger. What's up, loco? Blitz yelled through the walls as he continued shooting at the rat. Meanwhile, Naruto groaned, his head throbbing, and he wasn't sure how he wasn't throwing up while the sun was blinding him. He was just down the street from the Happy Hotel, which meant he'd passed out drunk on the street. I really did it last night, Naruto thought as he smiled slightly. Last night had been a complete riot for him. After a meeting and a stressful afternoon dealing with the moth monster, and being surrounded by hex and drugs, he was just looking to relax. With Tex, his girl KK, and others there, things started to spiral so fast he was lost in a fog of color. Walking toward the door, Naruto groaned at his throbbing head. Note to self, get Husker's instant hangover cure. Or at least learn the recipe to make it myself. After getting up and dusting himself off, Naruto walked the rest of the way back to the hotel and saw Xavier parked outside the hotel and sighed, knowing he probably told Charlie about his plans for the afternoon and morning. Sighing, he opened the doors and walked into the main hall, where he was greeted by the only thing he knew would be waiting for him. An angry Charlie stared at him with her arms crossed. Naruto! What the hell did you think you were doing? Charlie demanded. Naruto raised an eyebrow, groaning slightly at his severe headache. I partied a little too much yesterday, he replied nonchalantly. Charlie growled, irritated by her laid-back attitude. A little? He pulled out his phone, opened a social media app, and showed her the screen. Naruto had to look at the screen while his eyes were still adjusting to being in the dark club and with the flashing light that was still adjusting. Okay? He pointed at the screen and Naruto looked closer and saw a video playing on the phone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The count continues as Naruto is held upside down over a barrel with a nozzle in his mouth, and the other hounds around him chant, while Tex and KK hold him up. She is a blue hellhound with red eyes and black and white striped hair. She was a large girl who wore a torn black shirt that reached halfway down her navel and a pair of tight jeans that had holes in the knees and a slit for her tail at the back. The group holds it up and after a few seconds it shows that Naruto reached 30, and then they let him down. Buck yes! Nobody parties like a hellhound, hitches! Naruto yelled as he threw his hands up, beer and saliva dripping from his nose and mouth, which was in this stupid, blurry-eyed grin. Then Charlie brings the phone up to his face and clicks on another video, and shows him this one, and he just moans. In the center of the screen, standing on the stage was KK singing a song. Party like it's the last day of your life. With Tex standing next to the stage with 4 bodies at his feet. His girlfriend just winked at him, and he playfully growled. On the right side of the screen, Naruto was currently making it rain by throwing money on the ground, and the hounds were running around the grounds to get some of the money while he was laughing. The video progresses to show Naruto in the corner, and some hellhounds dancing around him, and some even grinding them while he smiles with red eyes. Damn, this is a fun night. You sure know how to make a young hound feel special. Naruto howled, making the girls laugh as they howled along with him. The video zooms in on the women reaching for the bottom of their shirts, and without warning, lifting them up for Naruto to lick his lips. Now that it's bucking hot, jump up and down. The girls complied with his demand before throwing off their tops and soon jumping on him and grinding to their heart's content, and Naruto was left holding a large stack of cash. Charlie lowered his phone and destroyed it when it hit the ground. Really? You're out doing business and this is what you do? Charlie asked, his anger uncontained. Naruto rolled his eyes. Who the hell was recording me? Can you check Dash? Naruto began as he walked past Charlie. That's not important. Naruto turned to see Vaggie glaring at him, though her anger wasn't as raw as Charlie's. Your behavior is inexcusable. What if other people in hell saw this? Naruto was expressionless. What the hell do you mean if they see that shit on the internet? If it doesn't get seen now, it'll get seen later. Naruto tries to walk toward the bar, but Charlie blocks him with Vaggie and he takes a deep breath. Look, can we do this later when I get a chance to sober up? I have a pounding headache and I really don't want to deal with the bad son, good mom routine you like to implement. Excuse me? Vaggie snarled at him and Charlie narrowed his eyes. Forgive us for loving you and not wanting you to become like the other assholes from hell, turning you into a deviant like our so beloved clients. Seriously, how do you think this makes them look? They're trying to get back on their feet and you go out and do the same shit they're doing. What's the point then? Naruto rolled his eyes. They want to do this, me? I just want to enjoy life, party where I can, and let out some steam when things get too stressful. I mean, he ran a hand through his hair. He was really annoyed and reaching angry levels. What the buck is wrong with me going out and just chilling with some friends and getting a little wild? I mean, I got Valentino out of our asses for now, so that would be greatly appreciated. Vaggie shook her head. However, Naruto, you can't just do random shit like this. What you did with Valentino was dangerous. Charlie began. No more than just walking down the bucking street. No more than riding in the Magna family's familiar car. Buck, all of hell is dangerous. I mean, Charlie dragged me to the final circle of hell and lived there for a good portion of my life. Naruto Vaggie said with one eye raised. Naruto raised his hand towards Vaggie. Seriously, stop trying to be my mother because you're not Vaggie. Vaggie shuddered at this and this irritated Charlie. Naruto, you can't talk to him like that. Why the hell not? She can't act like my mom when she's been here what? For years 5? He's been here longer than that and you know it. So, Bucket, she's not my mother, and right now I don't need a mother nagging me in my ear to test my patience. Charlie turned red in the face and Naruto growled at him. Vaggie, seeing the tension, decided it was best to retreat now. I haven't seen anything like this since the day we met, and he bit me. She unconsciously rubbed her arm. Hearing footsteps, she sees Alaster, Husker, Nifty, Verasika, and Angel looking into the room. Not wanting the added tension, she runs toward them and pushes them away from the opening in the hallway. Whoa, Taco Breath, what the hell are you doing? Angel burst out laughing, enjoying the panic Vaggie expressed. Look! Vaggie looked back at Angel with a glare. You guys can't go in now. I'm serious, things are very tense and it could get very ugly. What the hell do you mean? Husker could hear the argument from upstairs and was annoyed because he was sobering up and needed a drink. But he was being blocked from the bar. Look, it's complicated right now, just stay out. Alaster smiling snapped his fingers. Oh dear child, let us watch from here then. Vaggie sighed, but soon everyone gathered around the mirror to watch mother and son fight. Back with Charlie, I was really mad at Naruto. I can't believe you're treating Vaggie like this when she's trying to take care of you. Shit! Naruto rubbed his forehead. I didn't ask her to do it. All I'm trying to do is find Husker's stash of hangover cure booze and you're just pestering me with the constant nagging and adding her to the mix? Would anyone be driven through a wall? What do you mean, bother? I'm just trying to make sure you don't turn into a complete degenerate. Naruto sneered before laughing right in Charlie's face. By protecting me? Charlie, seriously, I'm dealing with a lot of shit right now and this is the only way I can cope. What problems might you be facing that you didn't create for yourself? I mean, your selfish behavior has brought you a lot. Naruto's eyes turned red, and the ground began to crack, taking on a faint red aura. Selfish? You're seriously bucking kidding at me? He pointed his clawed finger at her. If anyone is bucking selfish, it's you. Excuse me. She growled, her horns forming, the floor beneath her now creaking. How is trying to be a good mother considered selfish? Oh, I don't know, let me think. Naruto pretended to think before snapping his fingers. How about I stay completely oblivious to the things I'm dealing with right now? Hex and drugs, I get that you don't want me indulging in them, but I'm facing a bit of a crisis right now because I think I'm late thanks to you. Even worse, I can't stop certain things from happening no matter how hard I try. What the hell does that mean? Naruto rolled his eyes as he turned his back on Charlie. Look, I can't talk shit with you. Good dash. So, she interrupted Charlie as she turned to face her sharply. How about you condemn your father for giving me more freedom to do what I want and the training necessary to fight the overlords and other high-ranking demons when they started coming? For you were 8. Charlie squealed. How the hell was that reasonable? He introduced you to alcohol when you were 10. Yeah, well, at least he was trying not to be this perfect dad and admits his faults and mistakes unlike you. I can admit when I'm wrong. Name it once. The group in the other room was watching and everyone had different reactions. Vaggie was really worried about the intensity of both of them. Angel was just looking worried not to see the two so angry and mad at each other. Husker was watching with a neutral expression, but he had an idea of what Naruto was up against. But it wasn't his place to say what. Alastair just watched with interest as he never expected things like this like last time. He saw that the two were close in terms of parents, with their children. Nifty was just imagining her cleaning up the damage they were leaving behind. Verasika, however, frowned at the mention of being a late bloomer and was unsure of what she meant. It would explain why he might get emotional, but he's not sure how to handle it, and he's not sure where his preferences might lie. She pulled out her phone and texted Tex, knowing he'd be the best one to talk to Naruto about these things. I was wrong to think you were mature enough to act your age. Charlie shot back. Naruto's eyes and body stiffened before he roared. I'm not mature. Son of a hitch, I've done everything for you and this hotel. Not once have you thanked me for everything I'm doing and the fact that I'm treading on my own ideals to help. Charlie shuddered. Not to mention you haven't thanked Vaggie for her help either. I mean, she hasn't said it out loud, but buck you, she thought the hotel idea was stupid too, but she did it because she cares about you for some bucking unknown reason. Vaggie didn't confront the others at the hotel, but Angel looked at her in confusion and with a bit of new respect considering she was putting her feelings aside for someone else, which he can't say he's done very often while in hell. Not only that, how about everything I've done to help you keep this place running and beyond expectations? He held up his fingers. I convinced the previous owners to leave after they threatened to grape me. Naruto shuddered. That was not a pleasant day. Tentacle monsters were never fun people to deal with. On top of that, there's trying to keep this hotel from breaking down. So what about your ex? Have you ever told Vaggie how that ended and who it was that helped you kick the idiot to the curb? Charlie pulled away from Naruto and shuddered. Bucking imagined. Naruto then held up his third finger, but felt the hangover finally taking over and simply snarled. All my bucking time here. Everything I've done for you and the sacrifices others make for you, and not once have you said thank you. Not once have you truly tried to understand why we're doing this for you. Not once have you truly appreciated what we're doing for you. Naruto glared. At this point, I'm simply done, Charlie. You want to treat me like this after I did everything I could to keep some freaky son of a hitch in the hotel, then fine. Naruto spun around. Seriously though, have you ever thought about the people in heaven? Haven't you realized that maybe they don't want sinners to be redeemed? What if you end up redeeming Angel? Angel felt an intense chill run down his spine. Charlie was tense, a look of surprise, confusion, and growing fear on her face as Naruto rolled his eyes and turned toward the door. I'm leaving, don't contact me. Charlie reached out, grabbing her wrist. Wait, you can't just leave. Excuse me? Naruto turned his head slightly, moving away from Charlie's grasp. You may have adopted me, but that doesn't mean you control me. I'm more than just a disgusting stray dog. Charlie looked. You're my son. Just tell me what's bothering you, please, we can work this out. Naruto shuddered, hunching his shoulders in anger. Did you literally forget what I just said a minute ago? This is exactly it. You're told the truth and then you seemingly ignore it, and without hesitation, you try to change the script. I'm not Dash. You do this all the bucking time. That doesn't mean you have to yell at me. Charlie yelled back, tears beginning to stream down her face as her voice squeaked to a higher pitch. Buck? Naruto said expressionlessly before finally roaring so that the entire hotel began to shake rapidly. You're seriously bucking messy. Yes, now I'll stop acting like a brat and just talk to me. Charlie begged. Naruto felt it. Something in his head just snapped, and he finally screamed. Buck you, 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 buck you. I'm so sick of this, and from this moment on you can buck yourself with your stupid buck. Dream and ambition. Run the hotel. Do your bucking senseless deal. And do whatever you want, but don't ask me to be here because I certainly asshole I won't because you are the worst mother in all of hell. The entire hotel was silent. No one dared to utter a word. The mirror quickly went dark, and everyone found the floor and walls very interesting. As for Charlie, tears were streaming down her face and she was a mess. Naruto just looked at her for a second before walking into the hallway and saying, "I'm leaving, none of you are following me." With that final message, he opens and closes the doors before entering the limo where he collapses into the back seat. "Mister?" Naruto barely looked at Xavier. Just take me home, Xavier. I just don't want to be here any longer." Xavier frowned and looking through his mirror nodded at the young man and started the car. "Please roll up the window, please, I don't want to talk." Naruto walked away from Xavier and rolled up the window, and after starting on the road, he took out his cell phone and dialed 666. "Hello? Yes, my lady, I'm Xavier, I'm heading your way. Something's come up and I think you're needed." "Thank you, see you soon." He quickly hung up the phone and frowned. "I hope the young master and Charlie can work this out." Seventh ring. Lilith Magna walked through the halls as servants moved around her, preparing things for Naruto's arrival. "You," Lilith said to a servant carrying a bag of snacks. "Let me check those snacks." With a shudder and a sweaty nod, the servant allowed him to check. "Fine, you have all of Naruto's favorites," Lilith said with a passionate smile before placing her hand over the servant's face, magic pulsing in her palm. "But I'm not happy that you think you can poison him." Without hesitation, the servant's body was cremated to the point where the ashes became nothing. None of the other servants were moved by the murder of one of their own. "I'll get rid of the poisoned goods, ma'am," another servant said as they took the bag. "Thank you, be sure to give them to someone who deserves them," Lilith said with a smile, proud of her workers. He continued his walk, helping with small things as he did so, with a smile on his face. Ah, memories, he thought as he looked out the window toward a courtyard. Flashback. Lilith smiled a shaky smile as she watched Naruto, age 6, gulp down his tea loudly. It had been 3 weeks since Charlie, who was sitting next to Lilith, had adopted Naruto, and she personally saw no real reason why her daughter would have taken him in. However, Lilith could admit that Naruto was adorable, especially in his tuxedo with a short-sleeved shirt and shorts. "Naruto, you should drink your tea like this," Charlie instructed, showing him how to hold his cup and demonstrating how to drink it, which was very quiet. Naruto tilted his head, his ears twitching gravely. "Why?" he asked with a confused look. "Because that's how we nobles do things," Charlie explained patiently, but Naruto replied, more confused than ever. "I'm not a noble, Charlie," he demonstrated by grabbing one of the cakes in his hand and putting it in his mouth, chewing with his mouth open, making Lilith giggle as Charlie stood up. "Hey, don't chew with your mouth open." "Why not?" Naruto asked in a mocking tone, part of the cake flying out of his mouth and falling onto the table. Charlie's eye twitched with irritation, but he took a deep breath. "Because people don't want to see." "What? Seafood?" Naruto asked with a cocky smirk as he opened his mouth, his tongue hanging out of his mouth with the moist chewed-up pastry sliding down his shorts. Disgusted, Charlie grabbed a napkin and wiped his shorts, much to Naruto's disgust. "Hey, you're near my penis!" Naruto shouted, making Charlie blush in embarrassment. "That's not pervert!" Naruto shouted, standing on the chair and pointing at it. "Charlie is a pervert! Hey, I'm your mother!" Charlie snapped as she grabbed him under his arms and sat him back down. "You don't point at people and yell that kind of accusation!" Naruto frowned. "I don't have a mom!" he growled loudly, crossing his arms as he walked away from her. Lilith couldn't help but feel a small pang of sadness at the look on Charlie's face. "Charlie," Lilith began to say before Naruto's ears perked up, his blue eyes widening. Lilith watched as Naruto turned around and jumped out of his chair, pushing Charlie aside as a magical steel rope appeared and wrapped around him, binding him. "Shit!" a man shouted as Naruto was lifted up, holding the Hellhound upside down. "We didn't catch the princess, but from what we just heard, he's her son, so he makes a good hostage." "Naruto!" Charlie shouted, his irritation from before disappearing as it was replaced with concern as a group of 12 men stood at the wall. "That's enough from you, princess," the leader said as a gun was pointed at Naruto's head. "Meet our demands?" He cocked the weapon. Your stray is going to paint this wall with his brains. The attacker's members laughed. Naruto trembled in fear as the blood in his body rushed to his head. What do you want? Charlie asked, her heart pounding in her chest. We want. This is funny, Lilith said as she placed her cup back on its saucer before standing up. Stay where you are, ma'am, or the child will die. The leader reassured Lilith, whose eyes narrowed dangerously. Pigs like you, Lilith said as she stood up, her magic permeating the air with ease. You can oink when you eat your own shit. Oh, we're. The leader began before stopping. Boss? Me, you okay? Their boss turned to them. On his head was a twisted crown of irregular iron appearing on his head, and madness flashed in his eyes. Turning his gun on them, he shot one of them in the head. Boss! Several more shots were heard and silence drowned out the screams as the leader, bathed in the blood of his allies, approached the queen and princess, unleashing Naruto. Naruto! Charlie shouted as he hugged the Hellhound, who didn't resist when he hugged him back. I was so scared. Lilith turned to the attacker. You've made me proud. Lilith cooed as she walked past the man. Now kill yourself, you filthy pig. With a swift movement of his arm, the assailant shot his head to pieces, collapsing on the ground as Lilith wrapped her arms around Charlie and Naruto. End of flashback. Smiling at this memory, Lilith began to walk around the castle, reliving memories. Hotel, several hours later. Charlie, come on, please open the door and let me in. Vaggie begged as she grabbed the door handle, knocking for the umpteenth time that day. Vaggie stood outside Charlie's bedroom and couldn't hear a thing. Not a word, a sniffle, nothing. That's what worried her, as she knew Charlie was broken, but because of the new locks, she wasn't sure how to get in, as only Naruto knew where the master key was and the only other key to the bedroom was in Charlie's possession. Shit! He banged his head against the wall. This is bucking fantastic. Hearing footsteps, he turned and looked. What do you want, Angel? The spider rubbed his shoulders with his extra arms. How is Charlie? Vaggie raised an eyebrow and pushed off the wall. About what you can expect. Broken and depressed. I don't think Charlie realized much of what he said and is now starting to come to terms with how far he alienated his own son with his behavior, and how stifling he was being. Angel raised an eyebrow. Yeah, she mentioned what the hell does her suffocating her have to do with it? Vaggie rolled her eyes. To be honest, everything. He rubbed the back of his hair. When I first met Charlie and Naruto, things were more peaceful. Lucifer told me that when he was younger, the two of them would always fight or argue sometimes about their treatment, and not being allowed to do what he wanted. She glanced towards the door. From the looks of it, after his ex left his life, things were good for them. They got along, and even when I started dating Charlie, the fights between him and I were limited thanks to us being so understanding of each other's feelings. How did it feel to meet another girl interested in your mom? Something like that. Back. Mom, Dad, this is Vagatha. Charlie introduced Vaggie to his parents. Vaggie was stiff as she smiled nervously. Standing in front of the king and queen was overwhelming. Oh, who is this cute thing? Lilith said as she approached Vaggie, cupping her face. You are cute. Thank you, ma'am. Vaggie said as Lilith lightly squeezed her cheeks. Please stop. Lucifer chuckled as he walked beside Charlie, both smiling. So, Lucifer said as he looked at Charlie. Do you like women now? Charlie's smile widened to the point where his eyes almost closed. Yes, she replied happily. Lucifer laughed as he looked back at his wife and Vaggie. Me too. Both father and daughter chuckled before Lilith let go of Vaggie and hugged her. Welcome to the family, Vagatha. You can call me Vaggie, Your Highness. Vaggie said nervously. Okay, Vaggie, now there's someone else you should meet. Charlie said as he took his girlfriend by the arm and led her deeper into the castle. Charlie led Vaggie to a bedroom, where she could hear the sounds of a television inside. A younger brother? Vaggie thought, which confused her since she could have sworn Charlie was Lilith and Lucifer's only daughter. Coming in, Charlie said as he opened the door. Inside the room was a very childlike room, with toys and books, a small desk, and a large television with so many game systems from the human world. Before television there was an 8-year-old Hellhound Vaggie had never seen, with his blonde hair and scleral blue eyes surprising her when he turned to Charlie and her with confusion on his face as he stopped his game. Vaggie, this is Naruto, my son, Charlie said happily as she called out to him, pulling Vaggie with her. Naruto, I want you to meet Vaggie. She's my girlfriend. The 8-year-old looked at Vaggie in confusion before it turned into an intense coldness that played havoc with Vaggie's nerves as Lilith and Lucifer walked in behind them. Vaggie wasn't sure what to do with this. I was expecting his parents, Vaggie thought as she cautiously approached Naruto. But I wasn't expecting a child. Did she get pregnant? Or was it adopted? Lucifer and Lilith were watching the interaction with a smile on their faces, and seeing how the boy reacted. Naruto sniffed the air, causing her to give him a questioning look, analyzing his movements as he stood up when she approached him. Vaggie walks up to Naruto and kneels in front of her and holds out her hand. Nice to meet you, Naruto. I hope we can get along. Naruto stared at the hand and then at Vaggie. Charlie smiled as Naruto looked at her, nodding. With his fangs bared in a grin, Naruto bit Vaggie's hand. Yo. Vaggie screamed in pain as she jumped back several feet. Naruto went with her, as he didn't let go even when she was thrashing him around trying to get him off of her. Lilith giggles softly as Lucifer is on the ground, laughing madly as Charlie tries to pull Naruto off Vaggie. Nothing, Naruto is bad, Charlie said as she struggled to get him to let go of Vaggie. Gah! Vaggie cried in pain and tried to shake him off, but his fangs were deeply embedded in her flesh and she wasn't sure what to do. Alright, that's all, young man, Charlie said as she flicked her nose, surprising him enough to let go of Vaggie's hand. I'm so sorry, Vaggie. Charlie apologized as she held Naruto close, the blood soaking into the fur around her lips staining her clothes. Naruto is so nice, usually. It's... Vaggie winced as she held her bleeding hand. Fine. Soon after, Naruto was sitting on the ground frowning. Naruto, you can't attack people like that. Charlie scolded him. You didn't complain when I did it to the last guy. Naruto muttered as he crossed his arms. Charlie flinched as Lucifer frowned but returned with a smile, placing his hand on Naruto's head. That was different, Naru, so please behave yourself for Charlie, okay? Lucifer told the Hellhound. Besides, Vagatha seems to make her happy. As her son, don't you want to see your mother happy? Naruto snorted before nodding. Whatever it is, I don't like it and I never will. Naruto stood up and left the room with Charlie turning to Vaggie with a sad smile. He at least acknowledged you, that's something. Vaggie frowned. The little bastard won't get rid of me that easily, Vaggie thought grimly. Back. Hey, so he bit you. It practically took him a long time to get used to me. How did that work? She shook her head. That's enough about my past with the royal family, okay? Look. She turned her head toward the door. I don't care what you and Verasika do for the next few days, as I think Charlie isn't in the mood for those sessions, so don't leave the hotel, okay? Angel shrugged and walked down the hall to his room, but what he didn't see was Angel frowning in concern. Who is the guy who hurt Charlie that Naruto lashed out at him? I might have to look into this because I'm curious to know who made Naruto be so open with Charlie. Texas. The Hellhound was sleeping in his room and heard his phone ring inside. Although he wasn't as drunk as his girl and best friend last night, he was still feeling the effects of the night. Answering his phone, he saw it should be Verasika. She really can't leave me alone. Pulling his other arm free from his girlfriend, he swiped and held the phone to his ear as he walked into the living room. Verasika, look, I'm a little dash. Tex, listen, something happened to Naruto. He raised an eyebrow, remembering how he and KK had left him passed out at the club when Giovanni said he'd watch over him until he woke up and make sure he was ready to go home. Which might have been fine at the time, since Giovanni might not be the strongest fighter, but he was beyond terrifying to those who truly knew his power. What happened? I don't know all the details, but Naruto is having some personal issues that I think he needs another bloodhound for. Verasika replied hastily. Could you be more specific since there are tons of things Naruto hasn't covered as a bloodhound? Tex asked with slight confusion. He said it's a late bloomer. Tex stiffened. Did he say that specifically? Yeah, Tex groaned, pinching the bridge of his nose. Shit, Tex, does this mean what I think it means? Verasika asked with great concern. Yeah, I'll check in later today. The guy must have been seriously confused since last night, and now he's starting to notice some hormones. I need to talk to the little guy about this, thanks for the heads up, Tex said, having to prepare for the conversation with Naruto. Tex, just help him. I know you can do it better than me or anyone else right now, Verasika said in an exasperated and worried tone. Tex smiled. Understood. He heard the phone hang up on his end and sighed. Tex baby, what's wrong? KK asked as she walked into the living room, wearing one of Tex's shirts that was too big for her, and with her hair down. He turned his head towards his girlfriend and frowned. Naruto is starting to go through puberty, and he doesn't know how to deal with it, Tex answered honestly. Oh shit! KK gasped, her eyes wide. Yeah, Tex was no longer tired or hungover as he prepared to talk to Naruto. 7th Ring. Standing in the middle of the 7th ring is a large white castle. The limousine pulls up to the castle and stops. The back door opened and Naruto came out wearing his white hoodie and frowning. Home sweet home, I guess. Naruto walked up the steps to the front door, and when he knocked on the doors, they slowly opened. Dramatic effect, how bucking original. Naruto's expression was deadpan as he saw the line of maids and butlers bowing to him. Most of them were imps, but there were also other demons of different appearances and lineages among them. Welcome home, Lord Naruto, they all said in chorus. Yes, thank you all, and now you can all politely buck off. The servants were surprised. Naruto was usually kinder to them than even Charlie. Some wondered what was wrong with him, as they could see he was tired and looked exhausted. Now, darling, that's no way to treat the servants who came to greet you. Entering the main lobby hallway, there was a beautiful woman with light pale skin, red horns on her head, a black dress, and a seductive smile on her face. Naruto gave him a small smile. Hello, Grandma. Lilith laughed before dismissing the servants, who quickly dispersed to attend to different things around the mansion and gossip about the attitude of the Prince of Hell. Welcome home, darling. She quickly approaches him and gives him a gentle hug and a kiss on the top of his head. Yes, thank you for the warm welcome. Lilith frowned slightly and shook her head. Charlie, you really don't understand the effect you had on him, and what he's really done to himself for you. Well, I know you're tired, so why don't you retire to your room and I'll have the servants bring you your favorite drinks. Naruto smiled. I'd really like those, thanks. Lilith nodded and waved him off, forcing him to retreat down the hall. It's worse than I thought. Charlie has really pushed him and he can't take it anymore. Pulling out his own cell phone, he dialed the number and listened. Yes, what's up, dear? I'm in the middle of this meeting with the Sins dash. Buck, your meeting? Our grandson is home. Really? Charlie's with him? No, dear, please come back here as soon as possible as I think he needs you. I'll be there in an hour. Lilith hung up her phone and walked down the hall to the kitchen. His grandson was home and this meant a special feast for the evening, even if he had to kill some of the servants to do it. A servant who looked like a rooster began to sweat bullets, feeling better to stay out of the kitchen. Naruto, on the other hand, had entered his room, and it was quite spacious. He had a king-sized bed near the center of the room, a 60-inch plasma TV with the latest gaming consoles, all the latest games, and a high-quality wireless remote control made of bucking gold. In front of him was an Italian leather gaming chair with diamond-encrusted headphones for online gaming. In a corner, a private bar with all your favorite drinks, and even some small snacks. Naruto walked over to his small bar and quickly opened it, and saw that he had a bottle of tequila. So he poured himself a glass, walked over to his chair and put it in the cup holder as he put on the headphones he modified for his ears, and quickly started up his console. Going through his games, he picked one. Apparently, Cyberpunk 2077 heard that they made major updates to the game, so he was going to invest some time into it. Once the game started, he quickly got into the flow of things and lost himself in the story as he ignored the heat emanating from his crotch and tried to figure out how to make it go away. Another part of the Ring of Pride. Cherry was sitting on a rooftop scrolling through her phone, seeing who she could buck today, while listening to the loud sounds of some club below. She could only roll her eyes when she heard someone shout, "Lord Menu, how could you have abandoned me?" "Yes, Ginger, I'd love another lap dance, thank you." Cherry wondered how he could hear the demon from the roof of another building, but she didn't think much of it. "Only your dances can fill the hole in my heart." Another voice, of similar tone, shouted, "Shut up! Some of us are trying to establish our safe word." "Okay, baby." The first voice began. "I'm ready." Cherry could only guess that they must be related given the distinction in their voices. "I'm sorry, sir, but you don't have any money." "What a penny!" "Hey, idiot, give me some money." "Buck you!" The second voice shouted. "Don't make me go there, you piece of shit. We both know a bomb-wielding fool like you doesn't have that kind of distance." Cherry choked on her laughter. That was clever. "Oh hell no, I'm going there now. Bring it here, Hitch." Soon a dull sound was heard. "Hey, what the buck? Take your hands off me. What did I do?" "Hey, I'm not doing anything." "You're disturbing the guests," said a deep voice. She assumed it was a doorman. "And you have no money." Soon Cherry saw two green beings thrown out the door into a nearby alley. "Ginger, you damn bomb, I still love you. This is the fourth damn time why I keep coming with you." The first one looked at the second one. She couldn't see their faces, but she saw that they were thin and green. Cherry didn't know that one of her bombs had fallen out of her bag and rolled to the ground in the middle of the street. "So what do we do now?" Go kill some other assholes in this town, and get some more money for your broke ass. You could have lent me some, you damn idiot. Then we wouldn't have been kicked out. Fuck you, you overcompensating asshole. Hitch, let's see who has the most YouTube followers since I'm not making up for anything. The second soon emerged from the shadows, but was blinded when a bomb exploded and sent flying. No! Buck! The figure turned toward the ceiling, and in a flash, Sherry saw it disappear from the floor and reappear next to her. The demon in question was a spindly-limbed green frog, he had to guess, with large white eyes with black pupils. The shit, you Hitch, that jerk still had all the money and I needed it, so you're going to make it up to him now. Cherry smiled slightly. So, did anyone tell you that you look like Kermit the Frog from Sesame Street? Cherry noted with a shaky laugh when she realized that she really looked like Kermit the Frog. Exactly like Kermit the Frog. Kermit stared at her, his eyes unchanged, but his face scrunched up as the ground around him began to shake. Wait, what the hell is going on? Cherry asked, worried, nervous and ready to react if she was attacked. You stupid boar, Kermit said, clenching his felt-like buttocks as he growled, his body surrounded by an intense lime-green light. I'm a muppy! Cherry used her hands to block the light, and the moment it went out, she looked between her fingers. What the buck? She screamed as the once skinny frog turned into a raving man, with perfect abs, rock-hard pecs, and voluptuous cheeks. It's the power of steroids! Kermit said as he pulled out a boom box, dropped it on the floor with a thud before hitting the play button with his foot, which began playing Roundabout by Yes. What the hell is going on with music dash? Get ready to meet your maker. Kermit struck a strange pose with his hand in front of his face, and Cherry could hear the music swell. You one-eyed fool. No, seriously, what the hell? Chapter 7. Vaggie sighed. She had just endured one of the most difficult nights of her life. While she wasn't in treatment for Charlie, she had to sleep in an empty room until she could get Charlie out of her own. Sadly, she seemed content to stay there, but for some reason she had the feeling she needed to get into the room now more than ever. But she wasn't sure how to get in given that no one, not even Charlie herself, knew where the spare master key was. Buck me, where could he have hidden that damn key? Not even Alastair knows, and that monster seems to know everything in this bucking hotel. Hearing footsteps behind her, she saw Angel walking towards her with a blank expression. Lately, the two of them had been taking turns checking on Charlie, and she knew Angel seemed to be less of a problem than he had been in previous weeks. Meaning, at least for her, he was trying to ease the burden on them. But she was also sure this was his way of cashing in on a favor in the future. Angel, hey, taco breath. She snarled. Listen, if Naruto asks you, you found it by chance. Then she held up a key in her hand and Vaggie's eyes widened. It was the other master key. Snatching it out of his hand, she whispered harshly. How the hell did you find the key? I mean, seriously, where was it? Angel rolled his eyes. It's better if you don't know because the last thing we need is for someone in this hotel to find out and take advantage of it. Vaggie thought about it and shook her head while smiling slightly. Yeah, by the way, tell Husker you can drink all day. I'll let it go just this once. Angel smiled and walked down the stairs before snapping his fingers and running down the hallway, causing Vaggie to raise an eyebrow. Little did she know, Angel had found the key to Naruto's room hidden between two runes inside his mattress. He didn't know what the runes did, but for some reason they didn't react to him, so he assumed they were connected to certain figures in the hotel. Another thing is, no one would know that while he was giving the key to Vaggie, Verasika, who snuck into his room quickly, grabbed some clothes for herself and hid them in his room. Returning to Vaggie, she ran through the halls and reached her shared room with Charlie. Inserting the key, she quickly opened and closed the door. She could see that the lights were off and that the room seemed to have an oppressive air. She must be really upset about what happened. I guess there's no point in delaying the inevitable. As he entered the main part of the room where Charlie was, he was shocked. Something was definitely different, and he couldn't help but shout, Charlie, what the buck? The woman in question was sitting on her bed with a depressed look on her face, but what was shocking was that her body had seemingly changed. Her body was taller and appeared thinner, her eyes had red pupils, and her skin seemed to almost glow compared to before. What he saw there was something completely different from his lover, and he had no idea what to make of it. The woman in question turned her head with a soft sigh. Hey Vags. What do you think? Charlie asked the confused Vaggie dully. Hey, Charlie turned to his girlfriend and smiled slightly. Trying out a new look. Oh, Vaggie rubbed her arms nervously. What can she say at a time like this? Well, it's not bad looking at you. Vaggie came over and sat next to Charlie. I think there are just little changes here and there. But you're still the same Charlie and I still love you anyway. Charlie smiled but then frowned and looked away from her. Do I really deserve you? Hey, what caused this? Naruto. Vaggie realized what he meant. Look, Naruto, he rubbed the back of his neck. Had a hangover. Flailing him around in that state probably wasn't the smartest thing in the world. And honestly, it's not something anyone wants to deal with when they have a massive headache. I mean, remember what happened on the day of the Terminators when they tried to enter the 7th ring of hell? Yes, I remember, but that's not what I meant. He looked at Vaggie. Be honest, do you believe in this hotel as much as I do, or are you doing this just to keep me happy? Vaggie was sweating inside. I'm not sure, honestly. I'm not even sure if I believe in this place or not. But Vaggie took a deep breath and found her voice after a few seconds. Honestly? I didn't at first. I mean, the whole concept was just crazy and insane. I wanted to talk to you about this mess because I didn't want you to get your hopes up and then find out they don't make sense of what you're trying to do. I mean, it seemed so crazy and overly optimistic that I just didn't know what to believe. I was actually 5 minutes away from telling you that. Charlie frowned deeper. Why didn't you do it? Vaggie smiled slightly. Because Naruto convinced me otherwise. Charlie raised an eyebrow. How is that? Well, Naruto took me aside and explained that while I also thought the idea was crazy, he believed it was somehow possible. He told me to have faith in you and that if things didn't work out then you still had us, and that's something we had to be ready to show. But I understand where Naruto was coming from during yesterday's fight. Are you saying I'm a horrible mother? Vaggie waved her hands. No! It's not far from it, Charlie. You're one of the best I've ever seen. I mean, look at him. You took in a Hellhound child, one with unique traits but nothing special about him, and raised him on your own, with only a little support from your parents here and there. You taught him about the underworld in more detail, showed him that not all things are as evil and corrupt as they seem, and most importantly, you gave him unconditional love and care. Vaggie smiled. I know deep down Naruto feels guilty about what he said and did in the heat of the moment, but I know for a fact that he loves you and wants you happy. But at the same time sometimes you forget that he's still his own person. She frowned. I'm sure when he gets back, we can lecture him a lot for his behavior and the way he acted, but he was right in some cases. I mean, look at it this way, he's 20 for God's sake, Charlie. Charlie nodded. You can't keep thinking he's going to stay oblivious to everything and anything. I mean, you said you wanted grandchildren, right? So how are you going to do that if you don't let him come out and explore Hex? Charlie blushed at the thought of having little grandchildren, but quickly put it out of his mind. But that doesn't mean I can act in such a depraved way. Not him, Charlie, it's just when he's drunk this happens and you know the reason is because of his childhood with you. He's never explored those avenues and now he's trying to figure things out on his own. His own sexual nature, what turns him on, what his kinks are and more. That's shit that can really be confusing to a young person, whereas in an adult body they have the mind of a teenager and the hex drive of a hellhound. Charlie frowned and sighed. Hellhounds, along with succubus and other sexual creatures, are some of the most feverish lovers in existence. And what's worse, they can be very aggressive when claiming their mates, but their actions seem more intense than those of the others. Yes. Charlie sighed and looked up at the ceiling. I guess you're right, I did suffocate him too much and protect him from hell, She had tears streaming down her face. I didn't want to lose him. If somehow this plan works, then I hope that one day he can find redemption, and that means he can find his own semblance of peace, and if not, then at least I still have my son. That's all that matters, is that he stays with me and not be lost in this crazy place. Charlie started to cry, tears steadily streaming down her face. I'm afraid that I've pushed him to the point that he'll never come back and that my father was right, that I'm just making mistake after mistake and I can't seem to stop. Vaggie, hearing enough, runs up to her and hugs her tightly, causing Charlie to stiffen. You weren't wrong, Charlie, but you forgot, all children grow up. I can see you like Lucifer in that way. You don't want your child to make the same mistakes or have false hopes, that's something you share. But please, Vaggie called into his shoulder, making Charlie frown. Don't ever think that we'll stop loving you, because even if we don't say it, we're doing all of this out of love for you. Charlie smiled and returned the hug, with the two embracing each other's silence and warmth. Downstairs, however, Angel found Cherry running through the front door, tired, bruised, and badly cut. Cherry K dash. Where's Naruto? He's not here. Apparently things got tense and he bounced. But seriously, what the buck happened to you? Buck, I need to talk to him. Something's coming and it's as strong as shit. Angel frowned. What could it be? Pentagram City. Kermit was relaxing. He was sitting on a luxury bed in the middle of a walk, and he just grabbed a bottle from the side of his bed and took a quick swig. Ah, what a day! I fought off a woman with her eyes and made my gangsta respect me, and now I had a great day and more money to visit Ginger again. Getting out of bed, he saw the empty bottle and sighed as he opened the door when he heard a click. Catch that Sesame Street son of a hitch! Kermit looked at them. I'm a Muppet, son of a hitch! With this statement, he jumped over the railing and down to the ground floor before smashing the bottle in one of the imp's face, causing him to scream in pain and the glass in his eye. Seeing that he was now carrying the sharp point of the bottle, he quickly dashed towards the next imp, pointing his shotgun at him before slamming the glass down the man's throat, leaving him choking on his own blood. He quickly grabbed the man's shotgun, pumped it, and then fired the gun at the imp closest to him, sending him flying, while another imp was hit by some of the pellets. Bring it, you buckers! I'm Frog D. Kermit. Minutes later, Kermit stepped off the path with a smile on his face, humming a tune. Behind him, the mansion was covered in blood, the bodies of the devils lying everywhere, some missing their heads, limbs, and even some with their entire harnesses ripped off and the asses of those standing nearby beaten. I have no idea why he did it, but he did. Now then, Ginger, you lazy, I'm coming for you! He shouted, waving his arms in the air. Yay, away, Lucifer's castle. Naruto had woken up in a better mood today. Yesterday had been incredibly tiring and worst of all, he had to talk to his grandfather about what happened. Back, Naruto had switched to the 6th bucking game and was annoyed because some asshole was owning his ass in every bucking game, and it was getting old, and it's the same bucking screen name. Forbidden Fruit 666. Son of a hitch. Naruto was in the middle of his magic construction in Elden Ring, and just as he was about to smash this jerk with 1 HP, out of nowhere, he closes the distance and runs him through with a weapon that causes rot. Shit! Naruto slammed his controller against the floor and turned off the game. Turning back to the door, he growled, Come in here, I know you're outside that door, Grandpa. Entering the room, Naruto saw Lucifer walk in with a smile on his face and a phone in his hand. Now, grandson, you should know better than to try to defeat the man who rules hell. After all, I'm pretty sure he would be what you call the Elden Lord in this case, or the ruler of Cyberpunk, or more. Yeah, but everyone knows Lilith controls you by the balls, so she controls you, which means she controls hell. Lucifer laughed. True, my young pup. He walked over and rubbed his head, causing the boy to frown, making him frown slightly. So tense, his emotions are all over the place and his hormones. Buck, it's like this guy is a powder keg of sexual tension and depravity waiting to be unleashed. When did you come back? Lucifer was brought out of his thoughts by this question and smiled. Just an hour ago. Didn't you see me attack you a few minutes ago? Yeah, I made you bot using Motherbucker. Ha! You wish. Naruto rolled his eyes. So did Grandma call you? She did. He walked over to Naruto's bar and took out some of his alcohol and poured himself a drink. Even though it wasn't his brand, he'd still drink it. She told me you had some kind of disagreement with Charlie? Naruto frowned and after bringing his knees to his chest, his ear flattened and his tail tucked in. Yeah, I guess. I mean, he roughly rubbed his head with both hands. She pushed me up against a wall and I had a hangover and I just wanted to get the cure for that shit before we got into that conversation. But no, she insisted we have to talk about it right now, and all that did was create more tension between the two of us and me saying things I regret. In particular, like about the hotel, mentioning his ex, talking about his dream and my own doubts, and reminding him of his own selfish nature when it comes to taking advantage of us. Lucifer nodded. It's true that those are some of the problems I assumed were mentioned. But it seems there are more. What else? Naruto frowned and groaned. I called her the worst mother in all of hell. Lucifer frowned and put down his drink. Do you believe that? No, but... He rubbed his head and groaned. It's so bucking frustrating that I can't deal with it. I know it's my fault. I put myself in this situation, but it's still crazy that she can't. Look, I have my own bucking problems and I need to get my shit together, like your hex drive and other hormone-related issues. Naruto looked at him in surprise, while Lucifer smiled brightly. My boy, I may not be focused on lust, but I can still feel it as my wife, And honestly, you're so full of hormones it's a wonder you managed to ignore your heat. Looking down, she saw Naruto's erection bursting through his pants. Or not, and you just have a thing for men? She smirked, but then saw Naruto grunt and groan at the pressure. Shit, Naruto, you really shouldn't try to suppress your sexual urges. It could kill you if you're not careful. I can't help it. Naruto growled and soon his erection subsided, but she could hear him gasping at the sudden acceleration and struggle of his heenus. I can't control when the damn thing appears, and this has caused a bunch of confusion with people around and some wondering if I was gay. Motherbuckers! I'm not gay, but it's frustrating that it keeps appearing even after I beat the shit out of people. Naruto, what's worse, I'm not sure why, but for some reason, even when I'm around attractive women, I can't control my erection and sometimes it disappears as quickly as it can come. Naruto, please. He waved his hand. I understand, son. I really do. He sighed. Maybe you should contact a Hellhound who can talk you through this. While I know everything that happens in hell, I do know that some species of demons have very different reactions and hormones that are hard to explain. Yeah, Naruto looked at his phone, which he placed in the cup holder for his drink. Maybe it's time to talk to Tex, but not today. I'm so tired. Naruto sighed and looked up. Buck, I wish I could do more, but Charlie would freak out if he knew I wanted to do anything other than drink. It was a hitch of me to get her to agree to that. Lucifer sighed. He remembered that day perfectly and knew his daughter would never forgive him for introducing the boy to drinking. But how could she not? The boy killed his first batch of assassins and scared Asmodeus of lust. He was so proud. A true Morningstar, and from now on they will go by Morningstars. Dinner time, boys! Lucifer nodded and walked over to his grandson and patted him on the head, making the boy look at him. In time you will understand your own desires, Naruto. But for now, enjoy your free time, and when the time comes, you will understand your lust and your desire for other things. What else do you have on your mind? I mean, I kill and drink, and soon Hex will be on the table, so what else is there? Lucifer handed him a stick and Naruto raised an eyebrow. Smoke this later and you'll understand one of the basic pleasures of an earthly drug. He laughs and leaves the room. Humans still think God planted it on Earth. How funny, I made devil's cabbage just for a shit and a laugh. Naruto looked down and smiled. I guess I have another hobby. I'd better stick to this one because of stress. Retrospective extremes. Naruto took out another stick and lit it as he quickly inhaled the herb and then exhaled. Oh shit. Rubbing the back of his neck, he saw all the messages he had from the previous day and was shocked. 10 missed calls from Charlie. 5 from Angel. How the hell did he get her number is a mystery. 2 from Vaggie. 12 missed texts from Verasika. Now I really needed to know how the hell did he get her number. 3 from Cherry. I guess everyone has my number somehow. And finally saw a text from Tex. Thinking Tex would be the least annoying person to deal with, she opens her phone and sees she has a voicemail. Hey bro, don't get all worked up, but Verasika told me what happened at the hotel. I heard you're starting to realize you were a late bloomer. Call me soon, man. I can shed some light on this shit because this is going to take a long time coming. Well, if he can really help, then I might as well. Naruto pressed the call back button and soon his phone rang once. Naruto! Oh man, it's good to hear from you. I was wondering where you are, man. Sorry, Tex, I'm with my grandparents in the Circle of 7 and it's not exactly a place most people can see without dying or going crazy trying to find it. That's right, listen, Verasika told me what happened yesterday. Are you really starting to notice some of the signs of a late bloomer? Yes, what do you know about it? Okay, bro, listen closely, nothing's wrong with you. You're going through puberty that's long overdue. Honestly, I'm surprised you've lasted this long without humping the nearest hitch in the yard. So, is that good or bad? Both. You see, Naruto, the reason you're having such brutal heat cycles compared to me or the other hounds is because you're renowned as the alpha of the hounds. Meaning your instincts demand respect, and you won't back down to anyone. Also, this includes you having the strongest urges to fight, protect, kill, eat, and buck. I'm sure I realize by now, when around certain amounts of hormones you get a huge erection. Naruto blushed slightly with red showing on his fur. Yes, I tried to push it away by thinking horrible thoughts and then the erection goes away, but it gets harder and harder as time goes on. Okay, stop doing that. Your body needs sexual release. You're not a succubus. But the more you try to suppress it, the worse it's going to get. You need some release, man, and soon. So what? I'm going to find the nearest prostitute and take her to an alley and just buck her if I get a boner. The last thing I want is a sick man. You don't have to do that, man, but you have to do something, otherwise your body will shut down on you. Besides, as an alpha, your instincts demand that you take as many hitches as you can while you find your alpha female. My what? Think of her as your female counterpart. Someone who, no matter how many times you see her, you'll always have a hard-on for and desire. Someone who will keep you in line and someone you'll come to see as your primary wife, I guess is the technical term. But how will I know? Bro, you'll know when it happens, trust me, that's how I met my girl. Naruto sighed. Thanks, Tex, I appreciate it. Anything else? Yeah, one more thing. If you don't want to have Hex, man, then give yourself a blowjob or something. Trust me, it'll take the pressure off. Alright, thanks man. And check your phone because I think your boss gave you my number. Are you kidding me? This is the third time he's hacked my phone. Naruto chuckled. Your problem isn't mine. Naruto hung up and smiled as he felt his erection return and sighed. Well, I guess I could try doing this one alone for now. When one of the maids found him later, she would see something that would make her wonder if it was too late to register as a pet for the young master. End of chapter. Tribute, the bad boy. Kermit had returned to the club with a large amount of cash. He walked through the door and shouted, Ginger, where are you? The club turned to him and the bodyguard sighed before looking at the bartender. Hey, would you mind finding Scott? Sure. The bartender walked into the back as Kermit was scanning the room for his favorite girl, but he never noticed a shadow looming over him. Hey you! Turning his head, his eyes widened. Standing there was a man with straight black hair, a 5 o'clock shadow, a hairy chest, and a muscular physique with impressive height. Scott Hall! What the hell are you doing in hell? The man shrugged. Nothing really. I thought I came here for a reason other than you. He took the toothpick out of his mouth and shook the frog with it. You're disturbing the guests, so scram, buddy. Oh? So you want the bucking smoke then? Alright then, I'll give you dash. Scott hit him in the face with a right hook, knocking him down. Ow. What the hell, dude, don't you know the rules of engagement? I'm supposed to be making a mockery of you. Why the hell am I lying sideways in your arms now? Scott quickly leaned forward and released Kermit the Frog, sending him flying over his head and crashing to the ground first and groaning. Scott jumped up, put his hands in front of him, and gave a quick shake before stretching his arms out. Kermit stood up. Okay, idiot. Now you're going to get it. Kermit jumped on the man, but Scott caught him with one hand. Okay, seriously, what the F dash? He was lifted into a one-handed chokehold and slammed to the floor as the room erupted in cheers at the demonstration. Scott crossed his arms over his neck and slashed them down, signaling the end. Quickly grabbing Kermit by the head, he pulled it underneath him and opened his arms again. This led to him grabbing him by the waist, flipping him onto his back, and holding him above his head with his hands under the man's armpit. He then ran forward, descending to the floor, and then slamming him headfirst into the ground. Without warning, Scott crawled over and lifted one of his legs up and lay on his chest. One of the girls jumped quickly and hit the ground with her hand. 1! The room shook with anticipation. 2, 3! The room erupted in applause and Kermit was knocked unconscious, not knowing what the hell had just happened, due to the concussion he received with his head bouncing off the floor from the last attack. The room soon grew with a powerful light and everyone covered their eyes and saw a pair of cherubs appear and one had a bright smile on his face. Scott Hall? Yes, who's asking? The cherub sweated. Sorry sir, but apparently your paperwork got mixed up and we're here to get you to heaven. Scott Hall raised an eyebrow and looked around and seemed to have doubts, but one of the girls said, Scott, go with them. He looked at her. Heaven is waiting for you, you should never have come here. Scott frowned before turning to the cherubs. Was I a bad boy? No, Scott. The cherub touched his shoulder, and a light quickly shone upon them, taking them to heaven. You were the bad boy. The room smiled, and Scott smiled at everyone and waved before disappearing into the light. The room wept for losing such a good man, but knowing he was in a better place. Kermit, while unconscious, was lying on the floor not knowing what happened, but Ginger appeared just as this whole mess was over, walked over to him, took the wad of bills he had and walked to the back to start her shift. The janitor would just throw it in the trash where he would wake up not knowing what the hell had happened but knowing that Ginger had taken his money, and now he had to go out and get more. Chapter 8. Naruto smoked his stick, blowing out a bit of smoke as he walked down the hallway of his grandparents' house. He had a smile on his face, and the servants were happy to see him, except for the one who attacked him with a knife pointed at the back of his neck. But the moment he was within range, Naruto ducked under the cut and spun around to face the unknown demon, slamming his right hand into its throat. His claws dug deep into its throat, leaving it gurgling blood as it fell to the ground breathless. He sighed. Great, that's more blood to get off the carpet, but I'm sure the others won't mind cleaning up the mess. Stopping at its face, Naruto broke the demon's nose and then stopped at its throat, killing it with a crunch. Over the past 3 days, Naruto had calmed down a lot and felt more comfortable with everything that was going on. More so, he was happy to finally be free of the nagging feeling in his crotch and to deal with his now satiated fight-and-kill instinct. He knew his mother wouldn't approve, but at this point, he'd do it anyway to keep the killing to a minimum. Besides, Naruto was eager to start visiting more strip clubs in Hell to see if there was anything going on with pole dancers and the provocation of taking off their clothes, at least as long as I'm somewhat sober and aware of what's going on. That's why, walking down the hall after wiping the blood off his hand and feet, he entered the throne room where Lilith was sitting. Apparently, it was tradition for the two to have at least one person on the throne, as this allowed them to see everything in Hell and know if there was anything worth mentioning. It was sort of his grandfather's creation, and he was meant to make sure his subjects knew better than to cross him, or even think about hurting him, or his family. It was especially true when one of the Sins, who he believes was Wraths, basically said he was going to try to kill Charlie and prove his superiority, or something. From that moment on, the family never said a word about Charlie to anyone, nor did they dare question why Lucifer murdered most of their family. They simply thanked him for his mercy and promised to remember his place. From experience, he knew the Sins were powerful. He was confident he could take on one, maybe two of them at once, but anything more and he'd likely die in those encounters. This was especially true since some of them were on par with his strength and reputation compared to others. Back in the throne room, he approached his grandmother, who smiled. Hello dear, are you having a hellish morning? Naruto shrugged. Killed one of those shitty servants who came here hoping to do something great, but other than that, just smoking a joint. Lilith smiled. That's good. Have you had a chance to check your messages? Yeah. Naruto looked through them and raised an eyebrow. Somehow they all got my number, and it's just annoying. But a lot of them are just worried about me and wondering how I'm doing. I mean, Cherry mentioned something about a Muppet attacking her, but I couldn't quite make it out, and Verosika mentioned that she was worried and hoped I'd come back soon. Oh? Lilith's eyes sparkled. Is someone hearing wedding bells with a certain succubus? Naruto blushed. No. I'm just moved. She cares way more than she wants to jump on my hick. Lilith laughed. I know, dear, but you really should investigate the possibility of finding a mate of your own soon. I mean, for goodness sake, I'm still waiting for the girl who will steal your heart. Naruto shook his head. Well, other than that, I just wanted to say goodbye to you and Grandpa, since I'll be heading back to fix things with Mom. Lilith smiled and after stepping down from the throne, she hugged him tightly. Call if you need anything and let Charlie know I love her. I haven't had a chance to reply to all of her messages, but I figure it should at least be something nice for her, right? Yes. Naruto walked away and greeted Lilith. Tell the old man I'll be back for a rematch on his cheating ass. Lilith laughed as she watched her grandson walk out the door and smiled knowing things were going to get better for him. Now if only he'd find a damn girl and start giving her some great-grandchildren. At the castle, Lucifer watched his grandson leave and could only sigh. Well, here goes. He swirled his drink and looked up with a smile. To that stupid hotel and helping Charlie with this ridiculous concept of redemption. Lilith walked into her office and frowned. Would it really kill you to try to entertain the idea of Charlie's dream? I mean, it's not completely far-fetched, you should know. Lucifer growled and the glass shattered in his hand. Not another word about that. Lilith frowned and approached her husband, wrapping her arms around his neck and leaning against his back. You have to agree that the opportunity is there, right? Lucifer could only sigh before taking a small sip of his drink before removing the glass from his face. Whether she's there or not is irrelevant. Charlie doesn't know what's waiting for her at the end of this road, and the last thing I want for her is to find out that nothing will come of this mess. You don't know that. Lilith looked at the back of her husband's head. For all we know, maybe she's what the world needs to tip the scales and break our established cycle. Lucifer sighed. You know that's just pity-wishing, and I refuse to do that. He squirmed. After all, I had the same hope a long time ago, and all it led to was this glorious screw-up. Lilith's leg went and turned her husband's face. Are you saying coming to me was a mistake? Lucifer smiled. Honey, at least you're the best thing that came out of this besides Charlie. He frowned. I just don't want her to get burned like I did. Lilith kissed him on the lips. Honey, trust her. I promise you things might not fall apart the way you fear. If they do, then we'll be there for her, and she'll grow from this experience. That's what matters most, isn't it? Experience? Lucifer sighed. I suppose, but no parent, no matter who, wants to see their child heartbroken. He gripped his cane. Not in your hands. I'll turn all your little pets into blobs if you dare. Lilith laughed a little before walking away from her husband. It was in moments like this that she could see the man she loved and the man who loved those close to him. He wasn't one to mix his thoughts and feelings, but when it came to his family, it was the only time they were united. Now if only the bucking idiot would stop being such a fool and tell his daughter his reasoning, and then maybe things could even out. It's not as if someone in heaven doesn't know about this. She tilted her head. Maybe that brother of yours, what was his name? Gabriel, I think? She shook her head. We'll see. But first I'd better make arrangements for our visit in a couple of months. I can't wait to see the hotel. Lilith nearly skipped out of the throne room, while Lucifer could only sweat at his wife's unusual behavior. But then he felt a tingling sensation on the back of his neck and narrowed his eyes. What are you doing here? He turned his gaze to the shadows and his yellow eyes flashed with rage. You know better than to come here, so what do you want? The person slowly emerged from the shadow and all that could be distinguished of the person were his white wings and halo. The person smiled sadly. You sure haven't changed, huh? Lucifer narrowed his eyes. Neither do you, city imp. Verasika wasn't someone you'd describe as emotional. Not in the sense that she'd think about someone all the time and worry about their personal feelings. Just enough to the point where they agreed to buck her, and then, after a couple of times, she got bored and moved on. But that's not the case today. Her studio called and asked her to come to IMP City for a new photo shoot, and although she wanted to turn it down, she needed to get out of the hotel. It was so boring without her favorite Hellhound there to keep her company, and while he rejected her advances, she knew a part of him saw her and her hex appeal. But he just didn't have the same drive as most. Furthermore, Naruto was reluctant, and after the big fight, she wasn't sure if calling Tex was the best thing to do, considering she had contacted him personally. If he thought she was meddling where she didn't need to, she worried that it would mean he would stop talking or interacting with her. She shuddered at the thought. The pink limo pulled up, and she saw she was outside the photoshoot set. She sighed, trying to mentally prepare for this. What's more, she wasn't sure she could get into the right frame of mind. From what she gathered, this shoot focused on her new album cover and attracting non-stop attention in the tiniest bikini possible. And while she couldn't wear it to the hotel, she was sure she could while on set. Her intentions were to one day use it as a means of seduction, but this could work either way. Just something that would sell her album and continue to keep her groupies happy while they bucked while she was at the hotel. Entering the building, she simply walked through the hallways while listening to the hisses and moans of some of the demons around her. Though she would normally entertain them and consider letting them have a little fun with her, she couldn't bring herself to care. The bucking lightweights probably wouldn't be able to handle me anyway. Walking up the stairs, she saw a door at the end of the hall with Tex standing there with a blank look on his face, and she couldn't tell if he was upset or just worried. Texas. She smiled and he smiled back. How is everyone? All right, boss. I only keep the idiots in line when I have to, but sadly most of them can't stop trying to screw up anything that doesn't shake them. I figured as much. Verasika rolled her eyes. Succubi and incubi are always a handful. Well, I'm heading anyway. Good. He opened the door but then snapped his fingers. Right, I almost forgot to mention, Naruto texted me last night. Verasika stopped in mid-step. How is it? Tex jumped a little at his strong voice, but after his hearing returned. He's fine. He told me he's going to be in town today and coming back to the hotel to talk to Charlie. So you'll probably see him this afternoon. But he asked me to meet him about something and wanted to ask if I could come over after the session. Verasika looked thoughtful but smiled. Sure, just let me know when you're on your way to the hotel, okay? Tex rolled his eyes. His boss really needed to leave him. Sure. It didn't mean he wouldn't tell her what she wanted to hear. Excellent. Verasika entered the room and saw everyone there and getting ready. Honestly, the girls were all dressed up and dressed in their most revealing bikinis, and in some cases, more covered up, but the guys were just sporting Speedos. While she could admit that some of them looked attractive in their outfits, she knew she had to be the standout in this case. Then, without warning, she threw her fur coat to the side of the room, which was captured by one of the rabid photographers. She then removed her blouse and skirt, revealing her bikini to the room. Most stood in shocked silence as the girls hissed, and the incubus could sense their lust. Honestly, her outfit was very revealing, but it wasn't at the level of just pasties and bandages like you would do when you went to the beach. But in this case, she chose something more along the lines of a one-piece swimsuit that had a half slit so her breasts could bounce, with the thin straps against her chest barely covering her nipples. If one looked closely, one could see some nipple skin beneath the straps. The crotch portion of the swimsuit dipped between her buttocks, making them stand out more pronounced and showing off her barely covered crotch. The room could only hiss and gasp as he made her feel harder. She could honestly say she didn't give a shit. Hearing that her favorite bloodhound was returning to the hotel, she just wanted to finish this session and get back as quickly as possible. That way, she could try to get his attention now that it seemed like he was going to be more open. I'm not sure why he thought this, but it was a feeling and his feelings are never wrong. Stretching out his arm, he looked at his right arm and saw the tattoo that was there and the name he had crossed out. Verasika frowned. Honestly, just thinking about her ex only angered her. It was something she held a deep resentment for, and one of the reasons she swore to never date a devil. Blitzo was an inconsiderate jerk and someone who just didn't seem to trust her in a relationship of any kind. He also spent a lot of her money while they were dating, and even though money wasn't important to her, she was angry that he did that to her and never apologized. That's all she wanted from him was an apology. But no, he had to be a cynical jerk about everything and worse, blame her for other things. While it was true, at the time she was tempted to try her luck with some men. Since she was in a committed relationship, she didn't bother. Because she had too much respect for Blitzo at the time. But after what she did, yeah, she got really screwed and had one of the biggest orgies in history and managed to exhaust all her companions, including some incubi and succubi. He had thought about taking the stupidity off his chest, but for some reason he didn't want to and couldn't explain it. Maybe it was a reminder of why she hates him. Was it to continue holding on to the rage and anger in his heart? Remind her that after he did this to her, she ended up meeting Naruto by chance and forming a new bond from the ashes of the old one? He didn't know, but one thing was certain. He had never thought about getting rid of the tattoo. Shaking her head, she focused on the photo shoot where she was made to strike the most provocative pose possible, and the rest of her groupies joined in the fun. She'd worry about her idiot ex and the Hexy Bloodhound later, because now she had to focus on business. Pentagram City. Naruto had just ordered Xavier to stop at a nearby plant shop and pick up the things he needed for his surprise gift for his mother. He knew that while he was validated, he really owed him a lot for his outburst and for speaking to him like that. While he was admittedly tired, angry, and hungover at the time, he regretted his actions and some of the things he said. He knew his mother was better to him than most, and that he took advantage of her when he wanted something. But even so, he was willing to admit his flaws and knew his mother would do so too if the conditions were right. Plus, Vaggie was driving him crazy with everything that was happening since Cherry Bomb and his encounter with the frog demon and his mother going through a phase change. Yeah, it was a weird time in hell since he left. An explosion ripped through the streets, and Naruto looked ahead seeing explosions and gunfire in every direction and just watched as the demons fled. But me, can I get a break from the idiots? Looking at Xavier. Take the route back home. I'll catch up with you later. Of course, Mr. Morningstar. The limo quickly reversed and drove down the street before Naruto could correct it. I'm going to kill him one day, I know it. That or I'll turn him into a chew toy. Naruto shook his head and continued through the city streets, seeing piles of corpses everywhere, and he couldn't help but whistle. Shit, who are you? Naruto turned his head and saw 4 piles placed, but the one in the center consisted of a green frog standing on top of the pile. A Muppet? Finally! Someone gets it right. Great. So you're the frog I heard about that beats up demons and even kills some smaller overlords. Good. He jumped out of the pile. Why do you ask? Naruto shook his head and glared at him. Because you beat up a friend of mine named Cherry Bomb, and while she may not be a close friend, she's still a friend and my subordinate, so that's a big problem. The frog snapped his finger. You're the Hellhound I heard about. His eyes narrowed slightly. So you've come to challenge me to a battle, have you? Then let's begin. Soon the epic music starts. All Naruto could think is this the damn Godzilla vs. Kong music? Amazed, Naruto shook his head and rolled his arms before preparing his claws for battle. Not even close to the head of the heinous, The two demons looked at each other before one roared and the other shouted, Lerui Jin Kikains. The two appeared blurry in front of each other, and in that split second, they heard something fall to the ground. Looking down, they both see that it is a bag of green stuff. My pot/my pot! They both looked up and looked. Your pot/your pot? 10 minutes late. Naruto and Kermit are sitting in a corner, and Kermit has a huge joint in his hands while Naruto has a smaller one. They both inhaled deeply and released a puff of smoke. So, Naruto turned to him. Are we okay? Yes. Kermit smiled. I'll take the southern areas since they look like they're up for grabs while you and Cherry take everything else. Yeah, by the way, why did you screw up? Did he ever specify why? He took a sniff of his cane. Well, she called me same street. Do you know how many motherbuckers in this place have done that to me? I guess quite a few. Naruto smiled and Kermit shared it. Oh yeah, I've pissed people off for that. But thanks to this, I have nothing to go by my name. Why? Because the copyright shit. Yeah. Naruto raised an eyebrow. That was new. Then he snapped his fingers. Grandpa Wright did that a long time ago just to piss people off when they couldn't use his likeness or even the things he said were his. I think he was meant to piss off God or something. Probably, but I'm still Kermit, but I'm not the Kermit. He inhaled deeply. Honestly, my time in hell has been horrible. How? Naruto took a small breath, seeing what others might not see, a tired and exhausted frog. Well, take your pick. First, my ex takes all my shit and leaves me with nothing but a hollow feeling. My brainiac brother stole what money I had left. And finally, I can't seem to get another lap dance from Ginger. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Real Ginger? Kermit straightened up. Do you know her? Naruto rolled his eyes. Yeah, that club you work for is one that owes me favors. Standing up and taking another hit. Let's go. Hey, where are we going? Naruto turned to the frog and walked past him. Where else are we going to get you a lap dance? Kermit didn't need to hear anything else. 2 hours later, Text and his girlfriend had entered the club. He had received a text from Naruto saying he was hanging out here, and he wasn't sure why. But when he peeked through the door, he saw Naruto lounging in the corner, smoking another stick of weed, and he could see that the hound was completely relaxed. He also had a purple-skinned demon rubbing his butt on him, and he seemed to be taking it easy. In another corner she saw Ginger, a very hexy succubus, doing a great erotic dance for some kind of frog that looked at her with a big smile on its face. Ginger was known for having some of the biggest tits in this place, and Tex knew for a fact that she was more than willing to let people touch and suck her if the money was right. But from the looks of it, Naruto had pulled some strings, and now the frog demon who was raising hell is getting more attention because of it. Naruto, greeting Tex, shouted, Have a seat anywhere, man, and relax, I'm not going anywhere for a while. Okay. Turning to his girlfriend, he smiled. Do you want to give me a lap dance? His girlfriend looked at him with a raised eyebrow, put her hand on her hip, and looked directly into his one red eye. Do you have cash? Tex felt in his pocket, and felt until he saw that he had a card but no cash. Shit, she smiled. Sorry it seems dash. Hey, I'll cover it, so stop bothering the poor hound. Naruto held up a huge wad of bills that made everyone in the room sweat. Where does he hide that amount of money? Shrugging, she motioned for Tex to stand in a corner before walking quickly to the back and then coming back out in a very revealing outfit. Okay, my adorable hound, let's see how long you can hold back before we enter the VIP room? Oh hell yeah baby. Certain people had different reactions to the photos and videos that were uploaded of Naruto and the others who were there. Charlie was taking deep breaths and muttering to herself, as she tried to focus on what she wanted to tell her son when she got back to the hotel. Vaggie was focusing on calming her down while yelling at Angel for bothering Husker, who just ignored them all. Alastair was just smiling and you could hear the static echoing around his mouth and the confusion written all over his face. Luna, who was searching for something new on her phone, frowned and started looking at herself in the mirror. I'm prettier than that hitch, aren't I? Well, I know I'm cleaner than her thanks to the medicine. Hearing a doorbell, she saw a text message and it was from Naruto. And hey, Luna's back in town and plans to spend some time at the hotel. But after I get settled in, do you want to meet up? Sure, what do you want to do? Luna felt her heart in her throat. And well, I know you didn't go through the Bloodhound training program, so how about we get together, and we can see how much training you need for hand-to-hand combat. Luna frowned a little but then smiled. This would be perfect. Sure, how about you let me know when you're free, and I'm sure we'll see each other then. Luna walked over to her bed and fell back with a smile on her face. She was going to milk this next opportunity for all it was worth. Verosika, on the other hand, was watching the video and glared. While she was happy that she was becoming more open about sexual things, that didn't mean she liked other women touching her. She wasn't going to lose, damn it. Seeing this as a challenge, she decided maybe it was time to change tactics at the hotel and see how they worked out. Octavia, on the other hand, was watching the video and frowned. While she wasn't a hex demon or anything like that, she had to admit Naruto had some strange tastes. Does it make me wonder if you'd like it? He looked down at her body and frowned. While she was a definite C-cup and had a Lilith body compared to most, she had to honestly say she wasn't the most sexual creature out there. It was more of a preference than anything else, but she saw him relaxing and smoking, so she thought maybe, just maybe he was starting to explore his feelings more? If that's the case, you need to find a way to meet him again and stake your claim. You weren't going to lose. Naruto, on the other hand, just sneezed a little and offered the woman more money and saw her bare tits. I knew the next few days were going to be a roller coaster, so I might as well enjoy some of the freedom I'd have while I could. Chapter 9. Looking to Our Future. Beta, Old Man of the Mountains / Dark Lord 331. Beta number 2, Brachiraza. Naruto sighed as he stood in front of the hotel's main door, smoking a joint before entering. He personally felt better after letting off steam at the strip club, but now, upon returning, he realized he had to face the consequences of his actions. Vaggie more than his mother, since he was sure she was the one who was going to destroy him. Not unlike all the times they spent together, when Vaggie was the one who had to discipline him the most. Although that didn't come without its share of problems. Back, Naruto sat in his room, annoyed as hell. Charlie had grounded him after he pranked Vaggie by switching her special time-of-the-month pads with ones covered in powder and itch-repellent glue, making it impossible for Vaggie to remove the pad when the itching took effect. How was I supposed to know there was a set dosage for that stuff? Vaggie had been dating his mother for about a year, and he could honestly say he didn't like her. There was always something about her that bothered him, and he just didn't approve of her in the slightest. The Spanish hitch just doesn't take the hint. Naruto mentally complained as he began making plans for his next prank. The door opened, and he turned his head to see Vaggie standing there with a blank expression. He quickly closed the door behind her, and took a deep breath before walking quickly toward the boy. Naruto, can we talk? She frowned. She wanted to say no, but thanks to her mother she took her game console. Well, what do you want, Veggie? He said irritably as he pushed his swivel chair around, turning in it so he didn't have to look at Vaggie directly. Vaggie shuddered but took a deep breath as she sat on the edge of Naruto's bed, ignoring the disapproving look on Naruto's face. Look, I know you don't like me. I can tell. No shit. He spat. But Vaggie gritted her teeth. I love your mom, I want to be with her, and I want to be a part of everything in her life. So, can you give me a chance? Naruto stared. He held out his hand before his hand moved to face up, before it moved up to show her the middle finger. Vaggie's check mark grew in intensity. Buck off! Naruto chided as he pushed to spin further in his chair. I'd say buck you, but that would imply I love you, and I don't. Who knows what you bring to the table? Vaggie growled. Look, I know you don't care about me in the slightest and I understand that, but for Charlie's sake, can you at least try to pretend you like me? Or potentially trust me? Naruto's eyes widened before he growled. The last time someone asked me to trust them, and I did, horrible things happened to them. I'd rather kill you than do that again. Vaggie frowned. What are you talking about? Naruto snorted. If mom hasn't told you, then it's obvious she doesn't trust you that much. Naruto spoke as his chair stopped, his face showing irritation, as if he were above her, more mature, more knowing. Vaggie's tick finally broke off. That's it, you little shit! Without warning, Naruto found himself lifted from his chair and wrapped around his neck by an arm before he felt knuckles digging into his skull. He could feel them roughly rubbing the spot between his ears and was already feeling the friction. You may not like me, brat, but you'll respect me, Naruto growled. I'll do it to hell. Naruto bit the inside of her arm and she screamed. You little son of a hitch! She quickly threw him across the room and he rolled and landed against the wall on his hands and feet. Pushing off quickly, he leaped toward her, but she was ready to grab the back of his shirt and throw him across the room. He rolled again, but this time, after propelling himself, she met him with a brutal blow to the back of his head with a pillow from her chair. She sent him to the floor with a vicious thud. Naruto quickly kicked her ankle, making her fall slightly, and then hit her in the face with a right hook. Vaggie hit him again with the pillow, but he tore it to pieces with his claws. What the buck, you're too scared to hit her back. How are you going to be there when she needs you if you're too scared to hit even me? Naruto soon found a left hook to his nose that sent him rolling on the ground. Naruto snorted, spitting out some blood after holding his nose for a second. Nice shot. But not good enough. All any of the servants could hear was a scuffle, things breaking, and the sound of something heavy being smashed. One of the servants eventually ran into the dining room and informed Charlie and his parents, who then went to their bedroom, worried about what was going on. Lilith more for her grandson, knowing that sometimes he thinks too much about himself. Lucifer to see how this all plays out, and if this is the day they finally become close. Charlie? I just wanted to make sure they didn't end up killing each other. As they opened the door, they saw an adorable sight of Vaggie sitting on the broken bed with Naruto resting his head and hands on her lap. It's even more adorable if it weren't for the fact that Vaggie was cut and bruised all over her face and body, with blood dripping down her face and several cuts under her hair. Naruto had a bloody nose, dried blood on his claws, and bruises all over his body. Vaggie! The girl smiled at Charlie. Everything's fine. I think he's starting to like me now. Lilith stared. Charlie ran over to them and checked them out. And Lucifer? He was lying on the floor laughing. Retrospective extremes. Naruto sighed as he dropped his cockroach, squashing it against the ground with his foot. Yes, that was a very interesting day, and on the first day he started to develop respect for her. But he knew this was inevitable, so he quickly knocked on the door and saw it open. Alastor smiled. Greetings, my young hound. Have you returned from your romp through chaos, mayhem, and hormones I dare not ask about? Naruto was expressionless. Yeah, I got that stuff out of my system. Now move it. The red demon smiled and moved out of her way. Charlie's waiting for you in the other room, Alastor said, his smile growing a few inches wider. Naruto nodded and quickly walked out of the entrance and into the lobby where the bar was located. There, he saw Angel hanging out at the bar, but he wasn't drinking. He was just reading what looked like a demonic gossip magazine, and he looked bored. Husker was drinking. Naruto jumped over a blur running towards his legs and saw his mother walking towards him and his new appearance. What the buck? I left for a while and this happened? Charlie laughed. Well, I thought a change was needed, and honestly, I think this works better, don't you? Naruto shrugged. You look good either way, so I'm not one to complain. Charlie smiled. Naruto, look! He gave her a subtle look that made Husker sigh. He quickly pulled out a large bottle of expensive drink, and like a horse following a carrot dangled in front of them, Angel followed while holding it just out of reach. Once the room was empty, the son and mother sat on the couch and looked at each other. An awkward silence fell over them both. What were they supposed to say after all these days? Naruto rubbed the back of his neck. Look, Mom, I wanted to say I'm sorry. He stared at her. Things have been building up lately, and between my growing arousal and everything else that was going on, I guess I snapped. I didn't mean what I said, but I wish things were different than they were when I was little. Charlie smiled and sighed. Yes, and I can admit that I pushed you too hard sometimes. It's not fair that I tried to control everything you do. I mean, for God's sake, you're 24, how are you going to find your own life if I don't let you? Her eyes moistened a little. But my fear is that when you start your own life, I won't see you as much, and losing you is terrifying to me. Naruto nodded. Yes, Grandma said the same thing, recalling one of their dinners. But suffocating myself isn't helping, so I wish you could be more open about certain activities. Charlie sighed. Okay, what are your demands then? Naruto raised an eyebrow. Where did this side of his mother come from? I want to be able to smoke weed without you bothering me. I'm not smoking like a chimney or anything, but this shit is helping my nerves. I want you to stop being so critical of everything I do. I know I'm the face of a lot of things, but I have the right to do things for myself. I want you to let me make some of my own decisions, even if they end up blowing up in my face. Charlie nodded. I agree with that. I mean, you're right. You're old enough, but please promise me you'll be careful and keep helping out around the hotel. Naruto sighed. Sure, but you have to agree to listen to me when I'm at least trying to make a suggestion about something. Okay, but you have to promise not to flaunt your vices in front of others when they're trying to redeem themselves. Sure. Naruto thought it would be a case. Charlie slid over and hugged him tightly, and Naruto hugged her back. He rubbed a specific spot on her back, and she shuddered. That place was a haunting reminder of the past. Hey! Naruto pulled away. Grab Vaggie and follow me outside. There's something I want us to do. Charlie raised an eyebrow but quickly left the room, calling Vaggie into the room. When Vaggie arrived at the room, Naruto instructed them to follow him to the back of the hotel. There, they saw something they'd never seen before, and it was surprising. A giant pink tree is standing there blooming brightly for everyone to see, and the tree even had little blossoms falling and covering parts of the ground. Both women are surprised by this display, but they were even more surprised to see a picnic blanket with a basket on top. Mom, Vaggie, to make up for the mess I made when I left, I decided the three of us should have a nice picnic under a beautiful tree. The two women were surprised. Naruto, how did you dash? Naruto ignored his mother's thoughts. It's not really important how I did it. I just know that I did a few things here and there and got someone to help me with this little project. Strip club. Kermit was watching the twerking asses around him and was having a blast. He quickly grabbed a straw and, holding it against the white line, sucked it up with his nose. It's not clear where the damn thing was on his face, but he just yelled, "Buck, yes, I'm so bucking excited right now!" Tex just stared. That happened! Oh baby! Tex moaned as he placed his hand on the back of his girlfriend's head and pushed her down onto his crotch. He groaned at the feeling of her tongue wrapped around his cock and even fondling his balls. Taking her mouth off his cock, she smiled. "Keep your eyes on me, baby, or do you want the frog to come here instead?" Tex grabbed the back of her head and forced her back onto his crotch. "Buck your provocation." Kermit saw Ginger standing to the side and smiling while talking to another succubus and approached. "Hey, honey, can I get one more lap dance before I go?" Ginger looked at the frog for a second and sighed. "Yeah, well, I have something better for you." She took him by the right arm and dragged him into the VIP room, where he found himself pushed onto a couch with a smile on his face. Ginger casually reached behind her and unbuttoned her top, letting it fall to the floor, allowing her purple breasts to protrude more prominently. Kermit estimated it had to be at least a cup and wasn't complaining in the least. "Oh, honey, I like where this is going. I should." She walked over to him as she adjusted her hips to pull down his pants and leave her in nothing but a tight thong. "If Naruto hadn't asked me to at least give you a day, I wouldn't mind. But..." She quickly grabbed his crotch, which was hidden, but she could still feel his balls and penis hidden inside. "I'm not sure how this is possible, but it's something he didn't hide his true girth." As a hex fiend, he knew someone's size almost by looking at them, which is one of the reasons he entertained Kermit. Apparently, this Muppet had quite the hick. "If you ever, and I mean ever, try that shit you pulled before again, I'll make sure blue balls are the least of your problems." She glared. "I mean, if you buck one of my friends or try to get more free shit from me through Naruto, I'll make sure you get your own hick bucked and your own balls eaten." Kermit frowned and paled slightly. "Don't worry, baby, I'm not stupid enough. I'll get the money and pay honestly next time." Ginger let go of his crotch and smiled. "Good, now enjoy our VIP special." Ginger took off her panties and all Kermit could do was stare and say, "Hey, so you dye your hair blonde?" A scream was heard and everyone ignored it. Per Kermit. Tree. Naruto had settled down on the blanket with his head in Charlie's lap and she was busy organizing the food while Vaggie tried to stay alert in case the others came to look. Seeing her sweat, Naruto sighed. "Vaggie, seriously, you need to relax. I mean, is it so bad spending time with us?" Charlie frowned and looked at Vaggie, who was shaking her head. "No, that's not it." Vaggie rubbed the back of her head. "I just don't mind listening to shit from people who don't understand, that's all." "You mean like that party?" Vaggie rubbed her shoulder and nodded. Charlie smiled. "Vaggie." He turned to his girlfriend. "I don't care what anyone thinks about our relationship. You already know that. I mean, come on. I've tried dating other people before and they all sucked to some degree and sometimes they were worse than others." Naruto growled as his head was petted to soften his mood. "But," Charlie smiled, "I know that after we started dating, you were better than all of them. You were kind, caring, and didn't judge me for my ideas." She rubbed her shoulder a little, leaving Naruto groaning for attention. "Well, not openly," Vaggie laughed. "Yes, there are times when I wonder." Charlie smiled brighter than before. "And that's what I love about you. You keep me grounded when I can get a little grounded myself sometimes." He touched his chin. "What's the word? Too ambitious?" "Yes, thank you, Naruto." She kissed his forehead. "That's another thing. Naruto really likes you and you go out of your way to be there for both of us." Naruto looked at his mother and saw the look in her eyes. Sitting down, he let her approach Vaggie and soon she took her girlfriend's hands in hers. "Vaggie." The girl stared, blushing bright pink. "I have no doubt that you are one of the most important people in my entire life. There is nothing in my life that means more to me than spending time with you at this hotel and with my son. We are one big, happy family, and I couldn't ask for more." Naruto raised an eyebrow. "What about Angel behaving?" "Well, he's doing better on certain days about that." What is it with Verasika and her bad behavior and the fact that she doesn't believe in Dash? He saw the look in her eyes. Right, I'm sorry. Vaggie looked confused. What the hell was going on? Charlie turned to Vaggie and let out a deep sigh. Vaggie, we've been dating since my son was 8, and that means we've been together for about 16 years. I've thought about this a lot and well. He reached into his right pocket and pulled out a small box. Vaggie gasped, and Naruto smiled as he pulled out a sandwich to eat. He wondered if his meat should be screaming. Perhaps it was one of the available meats that only stupid souls would eat alive. Who knows, it's delicious. Vaggie. Charlie handed her the box and opened it, revealing a beautiful ring with 2 precious stones, a ruby and an amethyst with a gold band. Will you marry me? Vaggie was stunned. So much was happening in such a short amount of time, and she wasn't sure how to process it all. Between the hotel, annoying guests, balancing Charlie's mood, and fending off Naruto? Yeah, this was the last thing she thought would happen in such a short amount of time. Charlie bit her lip as she watched Vaggie go through the motions and seemingly show uncertainty at the question. Naruto understood her riddle, but he really wished she would just say yes. Vaggie. The woman looked at her. Is this too much? Is the ring not to your liking? I can go get another one. No! Vaggie waved her hands. There's nothing wrong with the ring or anything. It's just that this is a bit much. I mean, yeah, we've been dating so long I was wondering if you'd ever ask. Charlie looked like he had flowers around his head. But just with everything that's happened, I wasn't sure you'd know. She sighed. Bucket, this is complicated. I mean with the hotel and the clients. So what happened between you two before? Naruto frowned and so did Charlie. I don't know, doesn't this seem out of place maybe? Charlie frowned and looked at the floor in embarrassment. Was timing really that important? But that's what makes this the perfect moment. Naruto chimed in, bringing out some food for the two of them. We've all been through some shit over the past week. We've been dealing with a lot of stress, and it's like we're moving on to another phase of our lives. Why wouldn't it make sense for us to do something to signal that we're making a change for the better? Naruto smirked. I mean, you two clearly love each other and we're waiting for one or the other to pop the question, and now that things are getting back to normal and a new phase is beginning, why not embrace it by getting engaged? Vaggie thought about it and nodded. I guess that's one way to look at it. Charlie cheered up. Does that mean? Vaggie smiled. Yes, I'll marry you, Charlie. Nothing would make me happier. Charlie burst into cheers and tears streamed down her face as she placed the ring on Vaggie's finger. Vaggie looked at the ring and cried a little too. The two embraced tightly and soon shared a romantic kiss. Naruto bit into his food a little. Too sweet, it really makes me sick. The two separated and Charlie hugged Naruto. But son, you'll be seeing more of this. I mean, after all, Vaggie is officially your mother now. Naruto frowned. Yes, but she's still Vaggie to me. Vaggie smiled. You're still the brat to me. She walked over and kissed him on the forehead, making him blush brightly under his fur. But you're also my son now, so expect double the motherly love. Naruto snorted. Vaggie never showed motherly love, but it wasn't badly received. No, thanks, I've seen videos of what you two do in private dash. Oops. Is that what was on Angel's phone? Vaggie turned toward the hotel and ran. Angel, get your spider ass over here. I'm going to skin you alive for checking with me and Charlie. Naruto and Charlie watched Vaggie running towards the hotel. Naruto laughed. Well, I guess I'll pay for the comments about virgins and small penises. Charlie smiled. I guess we can let this go as long as she doesn't kill him. One of the windows broke and a spear came out which Charlie looked at, and after his eyes flashed, the spear turned to dust. Well, at least things seem to be getting back to normal. Naruto shook his head. Define normal. Charlie smiled and kissed Naruto's forehead, put his head on her lap and began massaging the place between his ears. Our normality. Naruto rolled his eyes but soon closed them. Then it occurred to him. Damn, I forgot to warn Kermit about Ginger's particular tastes. Strip club. Ginger, what are you doing with that? Why show you my kind of romance, my love? Okay, but that has to dash. Yeah, now stop being such a hitch. Oh shit. Hours later, Charlie was on cloud 9. She was finally getting married. Her hotel was back in full operation, and the chaos while there were so many people in the hotel felt just like home to her. Charlie was resting downstairs by the fireplace when the sun began to set. She was looking at her phone with her screensaver updated to have a picture of her and Vaggie holding hands to show off the ring. Naruto in the back with a bright smile with his hands raised in a V shape. Naruto was currently resting in his room while smoking one of his joints. Vaggie was chasing Angel, still screaming in fear that Taco Braith would try to skin him. Alaster was Alaster. Husker was at the bar and Nifty was cleaning the place. Charlie knew Verasika would be back today, but he didn't care because his son was home and everything was going smoothly. A knock on the door caught his attention before he walked over to the door and opened it. Standing there was Kermit with a smile on his face as he waved his arm. "Hello, Princess of Hell." Hello?" She waved back. "Is there anything I can help you with?" "Yes, I know Naruto lives here and I wanted to talk to him about something." "Oh, what is it?" "I was at the strip club and wanted to ask why you didn't warn me about Ginger and her exotic taste for pushing things in places where they don't need to be pushed." He shuddered slightly. Charlie looked. "How exactly do you know my son, and why was he at this strip club with you?" 1. We were about to fight, but we got high on each other, and 2. We were there to get me a free dance and a party. Plus, we had a gentleman's agreement." "What kind of deal?" "If he was a pervert, she'd kill him. Simple. Since I'm now his father figure in this life, I'll make sure everyone respects his gangster, and I'll make sure he eventually gets his hick wet." The door was slammed shut. "Bucking idiot, like he'd allow Naruto to have a father figure like that." He stepped away from the door but then heard another knock. Turning around, he sighed before opening it. She expected him to be standing there, but this time with flowers and candy. "I'm sorry if I offended you. Here's a peace offering." Charlie took the flowers and candy and looked around. "Where the hell? Oh, I have BS powers. I can do things that don't make sense." Charlie was expressionless. "Well, so about this, what are Naruto's preferences when it comes to women?" The door slammed shut again. Charlie placed the flowers in a small vase she summoned with a wave of her hand and placed the chocolates on the reception desk. Another knock on the door, and he sighed, rubbing his nose with 2 fingers between his eyes. "Damn Christ." She stomped back to the door, and this time Kermit was standing there. But this time he was wearing a white suit. "Okay, really, what the hell? Oh, I thought you might be offended that I was naked. So, I put on clothes this time." She looked him up and down, before closing the door again. Charlie took a deep breath, but before he could take a step, another knock came. His eyes turned dark red, his horns appeared, and his fangs began to grow. Slamming the door open, she sees Kermit, but this time wearing a black wig with purple highlights, black tights on his arms, black nails, and a depressed aura. "Hello, is this the place where one can come to find redemption?" Charlie's eyebrow twitched. "Yeah, you can, but why are you dressed like that?" "Dressed as what?" "That's how I express myself. Besides listening to death metal and wondering what the meaning of life is and the conformity everyone seems so captivated by." Charlie just didn't know what to do with this. "Well, hey, what the hell is going on?" She turned her head and saw Kermit walking behind her. "Wait, how the hell dash?" She turned to the Kermit in front of her, and then to the one behind her. "I'll ask later how you got in, but who the hell is this?" "Oh, I'm another person who died but also became Kermit, but I'm dressed differently." "So you're like me but you listen to death metal and hate the establishment." "Seriously, what the hell is dash?" "Yes, that's true, and I was 6 years old when my parents kicked me out and I bought my first eyeliner." "Dude, that doesn't make any sense. Meaning is something only those with hope can dash." Charlie stamped his foot on the ground, causing both frogs to look at the now transformed princess. "You." He pointed at Kermit. "Go upstairs and find Naruto and take care of whatever you need to do." "Sweet, see you later." He turned to the Kermit-looking emo. "So, you're looking for a place to stay to redeem yourself or dash?" "I'd like redemption, but I'm not sure. My emotions are nothing but pain." "Oh, for the love of God, start singing Linkin Park or get your ass back in this hotel." "I want to help people, but I don't have to deal with weird crap." Emo Kermit nodded and walked in, but he started singing Linkin Park's Numb and Charlie sighed. "The things I do so that all may be redeemed." Chapter 10. Beta, Old Man of the Mountains / Dark Lord 331. Beta number 2, Brachiraza. Naruto was watching everyone get organized at the hotel. His mothers were trying to figure out schedules while talking to Verasika about his drinking, which had apparently increased while he was gone and has now decreased since his return. Angel was seemingly behaving better, and even after Vaggie nearly killed him with a spear over the recording he made of her private time with Charlie, he's starting to show more progress, if not by the smallest of margins. Such as not having done any drugs in the past month, cutting down on his drinking, and seemingly being more cooperative and stubborn about his treatment and goals. Naruto nodded that he was still antagonistic to the others, but that's just Angel being Angel. Their newest tenant, Emo, Kermit Emo, seemed to resist the treatment, but at least he pretended to care. At least when it didn't piss Naruto off. back. Naruto was checking into the hotel. He had just returned but had already left his hiding place. Buck, I couldn't have smoked all that shit already. What's going on? Naruto turned his head and saw Kermit standing there with a blank expression on his face while carrying a gun in his right hand. Kermit, why do you have a gun? Oh, I was going to go shoot some hitches that have been bothering Ginger for the last week, but I could sense you were in trouble. How the hell dash? Naruto waved his hands. You know that's not important. Look, can you help me find my hiding place? Stash, do you mean your weed? Yeah. Naruto rubbed his head in frustration. I have a damn pack I leave downstairs at the hotel and Husker monitors it to let me know when I need to buy more. But he told me that somehow I ran out and I was too drunk to remember what happened. So someone stole your shit, huh? Okay, let's take a look. I smell weed. Naruto stared at him, turned his head to where he was looking and saw that he was in front of the stairs. They ran up the stairs, entered one of the bedrooms and saw Amos sitting with a bong in the room covered in smoke. Hey, do you want a hit? Naruto's eyes widened and narrowed. Kermit shook his head. Brother, did you take the grass from below? Yeah, I mean, the establishment is holding me back, man, and consumerism has been a hitch. So when you can find a free stash on hand, you gotta share the wealth. Naruto's eyes narrowed. What the buck is your emo not a bucking hippie? Amos shrugged. Can I be both? Naruto growled. Yeah, well, there's a bucking problem with smoking my shit. Oh, thanks, that was good. Charlie is gardening around the hotel and saw Emo Kermit thrown out a window onto the ground. Shit, don't touch my shit. Charlie was sweating. You might want to invest in better security for that stash of yours. Retrospective extremes. Since then, Naruto had kept his weed in his room away from everyone until they could get better security downstairs. But for now, other than that, Emo never touched his shit after that incident. Kermit disappeared after that, and only reappeared later with some more food and another stash of weed for himself. Apparently, taking down a crime lord who was having his thugs harass the stripper he's with isn't a good thing. Who knows? Naruto looked around the room and saw that everyone was busy, and with the laster who knows where these days, Naruto figured he'd look on his phone for something to do. No attacks means a day off from doing anything. He then remembered Luna, promised to meet her and train her in fighting, since she recently never went through the channels with the rest of the Hellhounds. Taking out his phone, he dialed the number and waited for it to finish ringing. IMP. Luna was sitting in her office bored out of her mind checking her Hell book and occasionally looking at Buck book. She went later to see who was bucking who these days, since celebrities like to share that stuff with the rest of Hell. Not that he cared, but it would be interesting to see if there were any interesting pairings or if Naruto somehow managed to get to this site. But he saw a flashing light on his desk and saw that Blitzo was trying to reach someone for help with the client in his office. From what he could tell, she was a pissed-off woman who had just arrived in Hell probably less than a month ago, and wanted someone to die for being wrong. Suicide was a hitch. Sighing, he stood up from his chair, walked to his office door and knocked, prompting a quick "Come in." As he opened the door, he looked at the purple-skinned demon with horns on his head. His red eyes glowed, revealing his level of anger. Okay, do you need anything, Blitzo? Luna, darling, meet our client. He wants to ask us to kill a foolish woman in the human world because she survived an assassination attempt he made. The woman grunted. Luna rolled her eyes. Yeah, so the charge for this murder is about 50,000 plus medical expenses. That's fair. The woman sniffed. If this means I get to watch that hitch burn here with the rest of us, then fine. I'll enjoy paying for this. Luna nodded. Okay then, we'll have her dead in 24 hours or the murder is free. Luna wait dash. Her daughter looked sharply and quickly fell silent. Is that company policy? I didn't see that on the sign. Luna rolled her eyes and said. Yeah, we've had that policy for quite a while now. It helps motivate us to keep doing our damn jobs and actually nuke the motherbucker you want to die. Luna pulled out her phone and said. Besides, you're paying a ton of money, it makes sense we have to work fast and hard. Otherwise, who knows, they might die of natural causes and poof, go to heaven and it's the middle finger at you. The woman paled. I don't know how but she did, and growled. Kill that hitch and ruin her, and I might pay more because I want to see that little hitch here so I can rip her skin off and use her as my new dress. Luna nodded. Great, got it. He finished typing things into his phone and then showed her the terms and conditions, and she nodded. Luna might have done her job minimally, but she did what mattered. The woman growled and left the room, leaving Luna with Blitzo, who was huffing and glaring at him. Luna, we've never done that policy before, so why the hell did you tell him that? Luna rolled her eyes. One, holding up a finger. She needs to know that we'll jump on this shit right away instead of just screwing around and leaving her in the dark. If we actually kill this hitch in less than 24 hours, she'll spread it to others and this will help productivity increase. Blitzo raised his finger but then dropped it. Fair point. 2. Holding up 2 fingers. We're in the bucking hole, Blitzo. We need more work pronto or this place will get so far into debt we'll have to sell meat if we want to keep this building going. Blitzo groaned. Yes, Moxie was right. The billboard was a terrible idea. Not that I would let the little ones know everything. 3. Holding up 3 fingers. The most important thing is that if we're going to charge those kinds of fees, it would make sense. We have strict guidelines to help manage shit around here. I mean, come on Blitzo, how are we? It'll be taken seriously if we can't even do our own shit properly or load properly. I mean, we have ammo to consider, travel costs, the building, our daily lives, and more, so we need to start making more money. Especially for killing people in the human world. You bucking know what that kind of mess can cause. Yeah, I know Stola's told me all about how Lucifer and those wig-wearing buckers like to keep things on the DL because heaven gets really mad if we mess around too much. I mean, I get it, Luna, but please have the game plan with me first. Luna rolled her eyes. Well, whatever, look, let's get this shit started and maybe, just bucking maybe, we'll get this job done without any bucking around. Blitzo jumped onto the desk and left his office with Luna. Blame Moxie, that bucking idiot is always thinking with compassion and love it's bucking annoying. Kinda annoying because he keeps doing this, makes me wonder how Millie likes to sleep with him. He took out his camera. Do you also have the last hex session you want to see? And watch a pencil jerk try to get his fat ass up for that fat axe-wielding hitch? No, I'll pass. Although I did read that someone in the underworld took over Angel Dust since she started cleaning herself up. Yeah, I bucking heard about that. Blitzo walked into the main lobby and saw Moxie and Millie aiming a crossbow at a picture on the wall of a happy, smiling family. Guy. An arrow shoots out and bounces around the room and Luna watches as it bounces everywhere, and soon sees Blitzo catch it before it hits the eel tank. We have a job right now, so everyone buck off quickly and let's go lick some ass. The term is kicking, sir. Blitzo rolled his eyes. Mine is better. Moxie rolled her eyes. Buck who we're killing today. Blitzo rolled his shoulders. Just a cheating bimbo someone couldn't take out, and now the person who couldn't take out the hitch wants her dead. I guess that means we can kill the family if we have to. Millie was dizzy while Moxie just gulped. Luna rolled her eyes. Moxie really needed to man up and just do his bucking job. It's not like the earth is full of saints. If some hitch bucks someone else's husband and drives him to murder, then so be it. But that doesn't mean you have to hesitate after coming to hell. I mean, who the hell's going to judge you for murdering a woman and her family when the woman who was wrong paid you? Finding the spell book, Luna opened it, and soon created a portal leading to the family home, and the three walked through it. Luna sighed before sitting back down at the desk before seeing her phone ring. Looking, her eyes widened when she saw it was a chibi Naruto. As he answered, he brought the phone up to his ear. Naruto, hello? She mentally groaned. Hey, way to do it, Luna, that was stupid. Hey Luna, do you feel free right now? Yeah, I'm free. She didn't really have anything to think about until Blitzo called her to bring them home from work. Well, I was wondering if you wanted to come over to the hotel. I'm having a slow day today and I've converted one of the rooms into a training room that I use from time to time. I thought we could do some training to help you fight off any serious hot dogs that cross your path. Luna thought about it but then smiled. This was perfect. Sure, I'll head that way now. Well, see you soon. Luna hung up her phone and smiled before running down the stairs and retrieving her car to return home and put on her workout clothes. Something that was both flexible and easy to move in, yet also attractive. Kermit's adventure. Kermit rubbed his face and sighed. What the hell, where am I? Kermit, please be quiet, I'm sleeping. Turning his head, Kermit's eyes widened as he saw a blue swan-like woman standing next to him, naked. Only the sheets covering her entire body made him sweat. How the hell? Please stay still. A second female voice moaned. Mother is right, we're both tired. Kermit's body stiffened, and he turned his head as he saw a younger blue swan girl who looked to be 18. At least he prayed she was. And she was also naked in bed with him. Okay, what the heck did I do yesterday? Kermit thought as he got out of bed and a large wad of bills spilled out. Huh! Kermit collected the money and counted it. $2,000? He asked quietly, scratching his chin. Wait, I didn't make a deal for a gun yesterday. Yes, it was a chain gun I sold him. Kermit's face scrunched up in thought. Wasn't it Naruto's girlfriend? Well, not MY Naruto, but a different Naruto who was turned into a Hellhound werewolf by his hound girlfriend-to-be. The doors flew open, startling Kermit as a voice called out, "Honey, I'm back. You wouldn't believe the shit I had to deal with when it came to that arrogant hitch of a niece. I mean, seriously, she married into the Argos family, but she just whines and whines about how she bucked an imp because she refuses to turn off. I swear that girl is more trouble than she's worth and doesn't understand dash." Standing there was a dark feathered swan, elegantly dressed, looking at him with dark amber eyes and wearing a small crown on its head. He was dressed primarily in red robes. "Okay, bro, I can explain." The man looked. "Well, I'm waiting for a reason why I found you with my wife and daughter in the same bed while it smells of hex and depravity." He took out a handkerchief and rubbed his beak. "Good, brother, do I have to explain it to you?" "Yeah." Kermit raised a finger before. "Be careful, it's a demon." The man in white stared. "Oh really?" Kermit looked. "Buck, well, there goes that plan." Kermit quickly jumped out of bed. "Kermit out!" Within seconds, the frog jumped out of bed and out the window. "Shit!" He quickly realized that jumping out of a giant castle's third-floor window into a thorny bush probably wasn't his best escape plan. "The guards find that frog." "Honey, don't shit with me, baby. Who the buck was that and why was he sleeping with you too?" Kermit groaned as he quickly ran out of the castle, spells flying at him. Thorns burrowed their way through his skin, his entire body bruised from the unfamiliar sensation. "Damn, I hope Naruto is having a better day than me." Hazbin Hotel. Naruto heard a knock on the door, and quickly opened it smiling to see Luna. "Hey, I'm glad you could come." "Yeah, well, I guess I'll never turn down anything that might be fun, and besides, hanging out with you will always be interesting, right?" Naruto nodded and welcomed her into the lobby. "Well, as you can see, this is the main lobby of the hotel." Luna looked around with a raised eyebrow. "What's with the old-style design?" "I mean, it looks like time has stopped here." Naruto shrugged. "Alastair had a hand in decorating the place. Why, who knows? That man is known for doing shit on a whim, and honestly, it's pretty annoying." "Correct. I heard you two fought a few years ago when you first rose through the ranks as Overlord. The jerk was lucky it was dinner, or he was trying venison." Luna laughed. "Right. So, the training room? Oh yeah, follow me. We're going to have to clear out the bar and the upper floors. The mother's having some of her sessions with the clients." Luna raised an eyebrow as she followed him. "Seriously, she has more than just that porn star here?" "Yeah, surprisingly we have an emo frog, one who shouldn't touch my shit, and surprisingly another famous star, but redemption isn't on their mind, just sobriety." "Oh yeah?" Luna tried to wrap her head around it. "Who was it?" As they approached the basement, they quickly entered the room and saw that there was a training mat, some punching bags, weights, and some magical items to help with training, including a dummy that could move by itself. "Okay, Luna, why don't you do some warm-up stretches and I'll start you off with some things." Luna nodded. Bending down, she touched her toes with her claws, feeling something lingering, and smiled. Naruto had started with the wooden practice doll, but he saw Luna stretching and couldn't help but notice how her body became more pronounced in one particular area. Luna could feel his eyes on her butt, which was being squeezed tightly into her athletic shorts, and showing more of her butt and showing off her flowing tail. After stretching a bit to touch her toes, she changes it to lean back, showing her head touching the ground and making her breasts bounce more pronounced. Naruto wasn't sure, but he was certain she was at least a D cup from the way her top squeezed her chest. Naruto felt his pants get a little tighter, causing him to groan as he turned around to hide his erection while he worked on the training dummy. Luna smiled. "So easy to piss off thanks to the shit that's chilling." After a few more erotic stretches with her sitting in a split, and then showing off her flexibility by literally doing a split on the floor with her crotch touching the floor, Naruto nodded at the doll and made it stand stiffly with its body making the sound of wood hitting constantly. "All right." Naruto was out of the wrestling ring. "Fight the dummy first, and then we can test each other after I have a better idea of your strengths and weaknesses." "Don't worry, the dummy is on the lowest setting." Luna rolled her eyes and looked at the doll. In a small blur, he lunged at the mannequin and punched it in the head, causing the mannequin's head to fall back and dangle with the neck wires taut. "That's all?" Naruto smirked. "Don't count your hellfire chickens before they hatch." She opened her mouth and was soon met with a brutal punch to the stomach. Looking down, she saw that the wooden dummy had struck her in the stomach and knocked her back several feet. She grunted, watching as it readjusted its head and its eyes flashed a message. "Was he beaten?" "You suck, Hitch," Luna roared, charging at the doll and hitting it on the head and body with a barrage of attacks. The doll retaliated by slamming its wooden head against her nose, causing her to grunt as a little blood leaked from her nose. Oh, do you need a break? I know it can't be easy sucking so much. Another roar and a great barrage of blows and punches in which she seemed to gain the upper hand and even bit the offending limbs that struck her, but she countered with pure animal instinct. Naruto had to admire how she fought. It was purely animal instinct, and she seemed to be at the point where she could counter some things. But she had too many flaws in her fighting style. She simply chose to fight offensively, and retaliated after being hit instead of fighting with strategy or technique. So after seeing her thrown across the room by the doll and growling with a little blood coming out of her snout, hitch, and guess what? Hitch, you got property. Naruto's sweat dropped. I guess that's what I get for buying a training dummy so cheap compared to the good stuff. Naruto stepped on the mat and slammed his hand down on the dummy's neck, causing it to collapse lifelessly onto the mat. Naruto kicks it off the mat and stands there with a small smile on his face. Okay, Luna, to be honest, you have some talent, pure instincts, and your bite is definitely something to be afraid of, Luna smiled. But the problem is that you're too erratic. Naruto wagged his finger. You see, the dummy wasn't using firearms and the like, but if they were, you could have been killed, and even if you changed your attack pattern in a moment of anger, you'd still throw it out the window. He then motioned for her to come over to him, and she walked over to Naruto, and he stood behind her. That's why I think we need to work on finding a fighting style that suits you. Something aggressive but with enough awareness of your own physical limitations. Putting her hands on her hips, she blushed. Okay, so you're touching me, why? Naruto smiled. We need to change your core a bit. So, turning her around, he rolled her onto her back and then placed his hands on her shoulders. Loosen your shoulders a little. Being too rigid will affect how you can fight. She blushed even more, but relaxed her shoulders, only for her to move her arms to keep them straight. There, Naruto then held her hips. Now throw a punch. She threw with all her might, but Naruto held her by the waist and shook his head. Don't use your hips, don't use your shoulders. You'll get more power and be able to roll better with the punch. Luna frowned but did as he said. She found it unusual, but when she did it, she felt his blow was stronger. That's the best way to put it. Naruto continued his instructions for an hour, and then they began a slow sparring practice with each other. Mainly so she could get used to moving her body evenly and understand what he meant by rolling with the fight. Once she got more comfortable with the rolling aspect of hitting, she then moved faster against him, and Naruto simply slapped her hand away, down and right above him, and appeared in front of her with a slight twitch of his nose. Usually, she hated it when someone played with her nose, but with Naruto it felt more like he was flirting with her. You have to calm down and try again. Naruto dodged her blows again, but the moment he tried to dodge her, she grabbed his tail and surprised him, and her smile appeared before headbutting him. Naruto groaned. Okay, that was impressive and unexpected. Naruto rubbed his forehead and sighed. Naruto quickly ripped her tail out of her hands and hit her on the head with it before slamming his elbow into her throat, knocking her down. Sitting on her stomach, he lowered his hands and smiled. But you should never relax until you're 100% sure your target is dead. As long as they're breathing, you can't dash. Luna moaned and blushed with a light snort. Looking down, Naruto's eyes widened and he jumped. Bok, sorry, Luna's hands have a mind of their own. Luna mentally pouted. I wanted to see where that was going. Luna heard a buzzing sound and sighed, walking to the corner of the room and grabbing her phone. Yeah, okay, I'll call them back. She looked at the clock on her phone. About 20 minutes. Yeah, hole in the shoulder. Watch what you do with the prince is none of my business. She hung up the phone and sighed before stiffening and slowly turning to Naruto. He raised an eyebrow, before taking out a stick, lighting it and taking a small inhale. Relax. If this is about Stola's lending his book to your father, imp, then it's great that Lucifer knows about it and is monitoring this. As long as they don't destroy a city or anything important, things should be great. Luna sighed before moaning. Well, I'll see you later, Naruto. We should meet up and train again. It was fun, and maybe I can show you some of my signature moves. She licked her muzzle, her tail swishing in a circular pattern. Naruto's eyes widened slightly before receiving another blow. Sure. Well, then I'll show you the exit. Luna nodded, and after leaving the basement they arrived at the main door, and Naruto was about to open it when he heard, Turning his head, Naruto groaned. Charlie and Vaggie were standing there. One was confused and worried while the other was more judgmental. Son, who is this? She dash. Vaggie held a spear in her hand. Did you bring someone without telling us? Naruto shrugged. Well, you guys were busy with patients, so I didn't think you'd mind. Vaggie moaned as Charlie snapped his fingers. So, who is she? Her smile was clearly strained and she was starting to release a bit of her magic. Name's Luna. She pulled out her phone and texted Blitzo to let him know it might take a little longer. Naruto and I ran into each other again when we came to do a welfare check on me. Also, we knew each other from the orphanage until he straight up murdered the hitch who ran the place. Charlie stared at them and then smiled as he walked towards her. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Ms. Luna. My name is Charlie Morningstar. I'm Naruto's mother and this. She pulled Vaggie toward her, who was rolling her eyes and smiling with her fiancé's hands on her hips. This is my fiancé, Vagatha Morningstar. Naruto coughed. Luna rubbed her arm. Nice to meet you. I wish I could stay, but I have to go home right now. Something with my... She swallowed. My dad came and he needs me there. Charlie nodded. Oh, where do you live? IMP City and our business is IMP. Charlie hummed with a finger on his chin before smiling. He soon placed his hand on the wall, and a magical portal opened. It showed the exterior of the IMP building, confusing Luna. I've opened a space portal for you there. Feel free to walk around, and don't worry about your car, I'll send that to the building as well. Charlie waved. Please come back soon. I'd love to learn more about where my son lived and meet his childhood friend. Luna looked at Naruto, and he shrugged. Before passing, Luna rushed over and quickly stole Naruto's grass stick and the 4 he had in his pocket. Hey, those are mine! Later! Naruto watched the portal close and growled at his mother, who smiled innocently. You know one of you has to get more out of me than I'm ready for. Charlie waved his hand and quickly grabbed his hand. More about the grass, then tell me more about this little friend of yours. Naruto saw the glow in her eyes and could only freak out and turned to Vaggie. Vaggie dash. Mom, you mean? Vaggie was enjoying squirming her way out of this current situation. Yeah, whatever, Mom. How's Angel? Did he behave? Surprisingly, yes. So far, we can say that he's definitely improved, and tomorrow marks a clean month, I think, but I can't remember exactly. Okay, then tell Angel there are no sessions tomorrow. I'll take him to the Greed Ring to do some shopping and then I'll take him to Giovanni's house. Vaggie raised an eyebrow while Charlie was just poking his son in the side to get him to answer his question. Okay, but why? Because you have to give them something to reward their good behavior, and what better way to do it than to let them do a little shopping and hang out at a famous club while having a few drinks with friends. I'll take care of security and keep an eye on them the whole time we're away, we promise. Vaggie frowned. Fine, but let's go over the ground rules before you go, understood? Yeah, dash. Charlie finally pulled her son from where he was standing and dragged him upstairs, muttering about finding out about the Hellhound he was with, and what she meant to him. Vaggie just moaned. It was going to be all night. I guess she would take care of Angel and the others. Better let Charlie talk to the mother and son. It was just another weird day at the hotel. Naruto was relaxing in his room. After talking with his mother and getting some more weed, he just wanted to rest a little before the next day with Angel. He was sure it wouldn't be bad, but it was still better to be prepared. Soon there was a doorbell and Naruto groaned. One damn day, I swear. Going downstairs, he opened the door and saw something that made him wonder how good his shit was. Kermit, I have to ask, what the heck? Like? I really don't know what to say here. I knew you'd think he was gangsta. Standing in front of him was Kermit, yes, but for some damn reason, he's wearing a Spider-Man costume. Kermit, why the hell are you Spider-Man? First, I'm Spider-Frog, branding and all that. Naruto raised an eyebrow, before taking out a paper and handing it to her. What the hell is this? Naruto took a hit. Cease and desist and take down for your content. What the hell? Mess with the mouse and lose your house. Bucket, bro, I'm going to own Disney, and besides, Spider-Frog is cooler than your weak-ass shit. Sure. Naruto took another hit. So what exactly are your powers and what exactly is all this for? Well, first, the costume is very high quality, and yes, I have some of Spider-Man's powers, but I don't have much of that shit. But I will admit that this costume is tight on me. Naruto heard laughter in the background, but settled for smoking a little more. Okay, so what's your whole thing? Are you all about how with great power comes great responsibility? Bucket bro, this is hell. All I care about is the 5 Bs. 5 what? The 5 Bs. What are the 5 BS? Blunts, bottles, and big booty hitches. He started waving a weed stick and a bottle of alcohol around, and Naruto could only watch as a random succubus literally started twerking in front of him next to Kermit, while he just waved his arms in the air. Naruto looked back at his weed stick and took another drag. Okay, this shit is too weird. Naruto simply closed the door, returned to the hotel, and sighed. And I thought Alastair was bucking weird. Soon he heard music and looked up, and outside the window he saw Kermit passing by the hotel and heading into town, and all he could hear was, Spider Frog, does everything a spider frog can. Has a TA, steals your hitch, though he's lack of hick, careful, here comes the spider frog. Is he strong? Damn no. He went to the ER when he stubbed his toe. He can swing through the fog, of course he can. He's the spider frog, amen, amphibian spider flying through the sky, at the strip club tonight. Like a blazer of lightning, he's just in time. Spider frog, neighborhood spider frog, friendly spider frog, wealth and fame? Nah, he's broke. Eating tacos is his reward. To him, life full of stupid hitches, and his peak suit, here comes the spider frog, catchy but weird as buck. Naruto saw Charlie running towards him. Naruto, did someone piss off Disney again? Maybe? Well, father got another complaint from them. But isn't he the owner of Walt Disney's soul? I know, and everyone is going crazy. Naruto sighed, gave his staff one last swing, and then pulled out another. Nothing's ever simple with that damn frog.
Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.